Well, thank you for staying with us. Let's get into our first story. And the Alembele District Assembly in the Western region has described the Judicial Service's reasons to relocate the magistrate of the Akakpo District Court out of her official residence in the area as unfounded. According to the Judicial Service, it decided to relocate the magistrate, Her Worship Awo Emisa French, out of the government bungalow because of the activities of illegal mining at the back of the bungalow. Now, in a rebuttal, the District Assembly says the decision to relocate the magistrate had nothing to do with a purported threat to her safety and security as a result of illegal mining activities.
When you ask them to do reclamation, they go back to do galamsey. So we stop them. What is it?
Do we have people doing galamsey in the community?
Currently, there's no community mining. Currently.
A statement issued by the Judiciary Service and signed by its Western Regional Administrative Officer, Dinah Nana Esian, alleged that the purported ongoing galamsey activities pose threat to the safety, security, and health of the magistrate. The District Chief Executive Officer for Alembele, Kwesi Bonzo, stressed that attempts by the magistrate to link her decision to move out of her bungalow to the purported ongoing galamsey activities is deceitful. The DCE says the magistrate is allegedly using the decision as a tactic to move out so she could continue enjoying her benefits of rent allowance from the Judiciary Service, which has been directed to forfeit as long as she continues to live in the bungalow.
We have never neglected our responsibilities as a district since day one. So we are dismayed, we are shocked that the Judicial Service could write that letter to paint the picture to the world as if her life is in danger. To the best of our knowledge, as far as I'm concerned, as chairman of that sect, her life is not in danger in any way. There's no way her life is in danger. But further investigation has revealed that recently the Judicial Service of Ghana has written to her that since she arrived in Alembele, she's been living in a government bungalow, and at the same time taking rent allowance for the Judicial Service, which is against the law. So she's been ordered to refund the money that she's received over the period as a magistrate, and also to forfeit subsequent rent allowance. So we believe that it is in an attempt to evade, to circumvent that process. That's why she decided to move out and only using the galamsey issue, which has been dealt with and dealt with properly, even without the help from the court. Even without the help from her court, we have dealt with the galamsey issue and we have halted the galamsey operations since June 2021. And the last time they came here, we didn't allow them to spend even 2 days here. Immediately came to our notice, we took immediate steps to stop it.
He says if there is any institution in the district which can attest to the Assembly's relentless efforts in the fight against galamsey in the last 3 years, it should be the Akakpo District Magistrates Court.
We believe that if there's any institution within the Alembele District which can attest to our relentless effort in the fight against galamsey in the last 3 years, it should be the Akakpo District Court. We say so because the court is very much aware of the numerous arrests that has been made during anti-galamsey operations led by the DC in his capacity as chairman of DISEC.
For JoyNews, in Athalia Kwanza, Alembele.
Let's head now to the OT region, where the regional minister, Joshua Makubu, has indicated that government has terminated the contract with Sema Construction Engineering Limited, the contractor working on the OT Regional Educational Office and accommodation facility for its staff. In April this year, Deputy Education Minister Reverend Ntim Fojo inspected the facility and was not happy with the progress of work. Now, speaking at the inaugural ceremony for CHAS in the OT region, Mr. Makubu announced that the contractor was expected to refund some amount of money. Correspondent Peter Senu has more in this report.
The two-story structure with accommodation facility for staff was scheduled for completion in October 2020. In April 2022, when the Deputy Minister for Education inspected the facility, it was about 38% complete. The Deputy Minister then announced there was going to be a drastic measure taken.
Not even 40% complete. So some very drastic decisions will be taken to ensure that it is completed. We are only interested in the completion and not necessarily who does it. We're just interested in the project being completed. In the next 6 months, we hope to see it completed.
Perhaps it is. The contract between government and Sama Construction Limited has been terminated, according to the Oti Regional Minister. The contractor is also expected to refund some amount of money to the state. The Oti Regional Minister announced this during the inaugural ceremony for Conference of Heads of Assisted Senior High Schools, CHAS, in the Oti region.
I got to my office yesterday and an interim certificate on that building was on my desk. Out of anger, I called my regional economic planning officer. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is a project that is not going on. This is a contractor that has misbehaved. Where from this certificate on my table? And why did you have to go ahead to sign? And he said, Honorable Minister, be a little bit patient. This is not the usual certificate you have been signing. Read the last paragraph and you will see that the contractor whose job has been stopped is supposed to refund some money to the government. What are we saying? When a project stops, the understanding is that government has not paid the contractor. There is no money. That is why work is not going. On this particular occasion, I can tell you in confidence that that contractor who was supposed to have worked on that thing is owing the government of Ghana and is expected to refund some money to the government of Ghana.
The minister bemoaned the attitude of local contractors who often abandon projects when their expatriate competitors have executed similar projects.
When Ghanaian contractors get up today and say government is denying us jobs, everybody and those interested in politics will start lashing at the government of the day. I can tell you that similar structures that have been awarded to expatriate contractors have been completed. This is a Ghanaian contractor. The one doing the bungalow is a Volta region contractor. But there are those who have not done the job. Today, when the contract was being terminated, I was giving names. But I said to them myself, I can be crucified not because of what I stand to benefit as an individual, but anything that is for and on behalf of the people of Oti region, I am ever ready to be crucified, irrespective of the manner of crucifixion. And that is what I stand for.
The Oti Regional Directorate is currently hosted in a 6-unit classroom facility meant to augment the infrastructural deficit as a result of the free SHS program. The new contractor is expected to take over and complete work on the facility. The minister assured the leadership of CHAS of his full support to ensure the best is derived for senior high school education in the region. Peter Senu for JoyNews.
Well, on our next story, the Canadian Feed the Children group and its implementing partners have started the climate information mode to support farmers in 7 communities up north. The project will improve resilience to the risk of climate change among smallholder farmers by enhancing access to appropriate climate information and adaptive practices. Correspondent Martina Bugri now reports.
Climate change information is critical for smallholder farmers. The farmers being able to adapt to climate change largely depend on their ability to access timely and accurate information. It is against this backdrop that the Canadian Feed the Children implementing partners and technical partners, Savannah Agricultural Research Institute, Farm Radio International, and the Ghana Meteorological Agency have provided farmers with timely information on good agronomic practice and weather updates on farming. Speaking at the Climate Project closure, Country Director of the Canadian Feed the Children, Augustine Yokone, said the 18-month project was to help the farmers with knowledge to cope in the wake of climate change.
CFTC signed a protocol of agreement with African Development Bank that enjoined us to implement the climate information made available to entrepreneurial farmers. The 18-month project has been implemented for the past 2 years, inclusive of 6 months of no-cost extension. The climate project, more than anything, represented an important step forward in the work we have been doing to support smallholder farmers and agricultural livelihoods in the midst of climate change. The climate project is a build on a previous project that addresses the urgent and emerging issue of climate change and its impact on smallholder farm households in northern Ghana. Canadian Feed the Children had worked for many years with regional partners in northern Ghana, supporting farmers with agri-inputs and training and supporting women with alternative livelihoods. Climate brought a new dimension to this work by incorporating agromet automatic weather stations and enhancing water harvesting and distribution into our food security work. Through climate, we were able to coordinate efforts across regions and across partners, both public and private, into a broader project with a single clear and urgent objective of improving the resilience to the risk of climate change of farming households in northern Ghana.
Mr. Njokone said they have supported GMET with 7 automatic agromet weather stations in the Upper East, Upper West and Northern region to facilitate their work.
So with your permission, I want to hand over this equipment to the Director General. And normally, our people normally will say that book no lie. So we want to give him this certificate of handover to signify that he is taking over 7 of these agromet automatic weather stations, and he is going to add it to his access register and maintain it, taken care of.
General Director of GMET, Eric Asumani, assured the CFTC that they would put the equipment to good use.
You see it there, it's recording temperatures, it's recording, it can record rainfall. The small thing that is turning up there, the black turning, is telling us the wind direction and the wind speed. Working, as they are all working, they are recording all the things they are recording in this box, and then it transmits the information to Accra. This information to be able to help you in your farming activity.
Now, the International Union for Conservation of Nature is worried about how poorly the Sahel region has handled its land management and restoration process. The organization says this has led to a shortage of the arable land in the area. Martina Bugri again reports.
Looking at the opening ceremony of the Creating Lands of Opportunity, Transforming Livelihood through Landscape Restoration in the Sahel region, on the theme Connecting Land Degradation Neutrality and Nature-Based Resolution held in Tamale, head of programs of the IUCN in Burkina Faso, Dr. Shaki Samda, said while some efforts are being made to conserve the land, others are destroying it, raising concerns over land degradation.
The major challenge for lands in the Sahel region are three major ones. The first one has to do on the way we are making use of lands. So while some people are taking good care of lands, other people are just using land for their own business without taking into consideration that the land is a public good, even if you acquire the ownership, because under the lands you have trees and other species that produce public good for people. So even if you own the lands, the ecosystem service from the lands is not privatized.
Grounds coordinator of West Africa Center for Water, Irrigation and Sustainable Agriculture, Professor Saidito, said modern agricultural practice is partly to blame for the destruction.
Our modernization is being destructive, partly because we are forgetting that nature itself has some regulations or some things that we must look at what nature is. If you leave nature alone, you'll probably find out that it can this neutrality we are talking about, it can control itself. But somehow we have intervened in the nature so much that can we at least go backwards a bit and see, is this something that we can do based on what nature is? Simple example, instead of using so much fertilizer, can we go back to nature and see how nature has been doing its own?
Professor Dito called for an institutional framework that will turn research into policy and implementation, while urging the government to make good use of research from various universities.
Research, yes, we do research to get knowledge, get new ideas and all that. But somebody has to pick the research and put it into action. The funds or the resources that you get to do your research cannot be used for the policy and for action. So there must be a link. There should be a link somewhere between research, between policy, and even between implementation. So the research should result in policy, it should result in implementation. That is if it's good enough. Who is supposed to give that link? Definitely it goes back to government. Government should put out structures that will ensure that whatever research is being done in various places, we should be able to turn it to policy, turn it to implementation.
Now, in our next story, the University of Health and Allied Sciences has climaxed its 10th anniversary with a Thanksgiving service. The service also marks the end of the tenure of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor John Owusu-Japong, and Registrar Dr. Cynthia Sena-Kpeglo. There is more in this report.
Well-wishers joined the university community to thank the Lord for guiding the path and development of the University of Health and Allied Sciences over the last 10 years. UHAS took off in 2012 with 154 students and a few staff members at the incubator site on the premises of the Ho Chi Minh Hospital. After 10 years of establishment, it now has a student population of over 5,000, 900 staff members, and witnessed some infrastructure development. The outgoing Vice-Chancellor, Professor John Owusu-Japong, attributed the development of UHAS to God.
UHAS has now become a household name. Everybody is excited about UHAS because they can see some good in us. Even though we could have done with a lot more infrastructure, I believe that by the grace of God, we have managed to achieve a few things. We pray that our academic facilities will continue to improve. What I just want to say this morning is that as a university, we acknowledge that it is God who has been on our side, and it is because he has been on our side that is why we are where we are today. In the course of our administration, there must have been a few tough decisions that we had to make. And easy is that was the crown. We had to make those tough decisions. And we meant no harm. And we didn't mean any evil. Unfortunately, it caused some harms. So for those who were harmed, we apologize, but we didn't mean any harm.
The guest preacher, the head pastor of Perez Chapel International, Archbishop Charles Ajenasari, anchored his sermon on appreciating God at all times.
At times, God will allow a mess to be created around you. And without that mess, you never would have had a message. So So he wants you to have a message. There are times he would allow you to go through tests because he wants to give you a testimony. He makes you go through the trials so that he can give you some triumph. And so you've got to celebrate God when the things are not good, and celebrate him when the things are good. Give him praise. Give him thanks. Give him praise.
Prayers were said for Professor John Owusu Japon and the outgoing registrar, Dr. Cynthia Sendak-Pegulu. They hand over the leadership baton to the incoming Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lydia Aziatu, and the incoming Registrar, Ya Amankwa Opuini. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Sokode.
Well, on that celebratory note, we wrap up the news. Next, we serve you the news review. Do stay. Well, thank you very much for joining us for the news review. We kickstart matters with the papers we have, and this morning it's quite a stack. The Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times, Daily Guide, Republic Press, Economy Times. We'll be talking some business-related matters. Ghanaian Publisher, The Finder, The Daily Statesman, and some others we'll be taking a quick look at. We're joined by Suleiman Brahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. Mr. Brahima, it's another Monday, and it's so good to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ben. Yes, it's a Monday, and it's a new month, and we look forward to greater things in the month and in the other months ahead of us. Indeed, we do. Yes, we've entered the 8th month of the year. How time flies, how time flies. But let me quickly run these two thoughts by you. In fact, the papers capture them as well, so we're not deviating from what they say. I'll start with the SIM card re-registration. We've spoken about it in the past. And the deadline has been extended from the 31st of July yesterday to the end of September. But of course, by the end of August, if you've not registered, there are going to be some punitive measures. You're going to be paying more for the service that all of us, the services all of us enjoy, among other things. Basically, punitive measures. But why must there be a charge for the SIM card re-registration, especially in these economic times? Some are asking. And maybe even more crucial to the conversation, does this have parliamentary approval? That is another question. And, you know, there are different numbers that have been given us by the NIA, by the Communications Ministry, in terms of, yes, Ghana card access, then those who have registered for the SIM card. But 5 cedis multiplied by the supposedly 17 million cards that are left would mean that the Communications Ministry would be raking in a whopping 85 million Ghana cedis. Question is, where is that going? And maybe finally, to wrap on my thoughts. So you want e-levy. You can't get the e-levy without mobile money. I mean, it's a big aspect of it, apart from what you'll get from the banks. And to get mobile money, you need a SIM card. So if people are basically going to be deprived, where does that leave something like the e-levy? Your quick thoughts on these matters, Suleimana. Well, Ben, good morning again. I'm not surprised that eventually the registration deadline, which for me in the first place was needless, had to be extended. But I don't know why it appears that the government is interested in always subjecting the ordinary Ghanaian to needless, inhumane experiences. It was quite clear that a lot of people hadn't had their Ghana card, and having a Ghana card is the prerequisite for being able to register your SIM card. And so, given the fact that the government knew that many people, millions of Ghanaians, haven't as yet been able to acquire or have their Ghana card. It was surprising that the minister insisted that the deadline was not going to be extended, as if to say that, look, we don't care whether you have your Ghana card or not, you're going to be excluded digitally.
But Sulemana, we all knew that looking at the numbers, there was no way they could do that. I feel it was more of a threat to get more and more people to register. But in all practicality, they were never going to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And so if you look at the kind of inhumane experiences that people were going through at the Airworks Sports Stadium to get their Ghana cards, to be able to register their SIM cards, I mean, it was quite inappropriate to continue to subject people to that experience and to say that, look, let's keep waiting so that we can get as many people go through this struggle and see how many people will be able to get their Ghana cards to register. The point is, there shouldn't even be a deadline for this kind of registration. The government or the ministry, if it wants, would be able to introduce, cascaded measures that would eventually get people to get onto the database in terms of the registration. And it's been done elsewhere. If you take experiences from Kenya, from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, where the process wasn't even as we are doing it here, by the end of it, in Kenya, two telcos lost a combined, number of about 1 million subscribers. In Zimbabwe, the experience was the same. In South Africa, the experience was the same. So we are looking at a situation where, if we are not careful, by the end of the exercise, telcos are going to lose, maybe 1 million or 2 million subscribers. And these subscribers are people who, through their daily operations, are able to contribute to tax, use it for Momo, and so on and so forth. Don't forget, I did say on Saturday on Newsfile that Ghana is among the countries that have introduced the most invasive and the most intrusive kind of SIM card registration.
Yes.
It includes capturing your face, capturing your biometrics, linking that with Ghana card, and Ghana card is supposed to have every information about you. Again, the other question is, those of us who have had Ghana cards, we were made to provide our phone numbers and so on and so forth. Why couldn't there have been some, level of synchronization so that where there are problems, then it could be ratified? So it would have become then clear that, look, these number of SIM cards or numbers that have been issued by the mobile operators are not in the Ghana card database. And therefore, these people would be looked out for in terms of coming to register. So for me, I really can't understand why the ministry, the minister, would subject people to this kind of experience. Sometimes one feels it's a way to show that, I am the most powerful, or, I have the power and I must exercise it. But they shouldn't forget that it is the same people who gave them that power. Invariably, what we're going to have is digital exclusion of a number of people. And research has shown that wherever this thing has been done, those who end up being digitally excluded are the vulnerable. And in this case, predominantly women, predominantly people in rural areas, predominantly people who have had no formal education or little formal education, and predominantly people with disabilities. I don't think that we would want to have this kind of experience in Ghana. And therefore, the extension to September, for me, is still unworkable, because it is not the fault of the people. It is actually the fault of the government. People are not getting their Ghana cards, and you say they must register. Meanwhile, you need a Ghana card to register. How would they do that?
In fact, so I was predicting just this morning at the start of the show that we just might have to extend again after a year. And like you said, I totally agree with you. It shouldn't even have timelines. It should be something that, yes, you can encourage the people through certain means, slightly punitive measures to get them to register. But where this is going becomes a bit... It seems to be a foray into the absurd, I'm sorry to say.
Absolutely. And look, everyone in Ghana today would love to have to register for Momo. could we have a situation where at some point, if you haven't registered your SIM, you are unable to transact certain digital businesses, online businesses, government e-services, and so on and so forth. Elsewhere, that is what is done. So it gets to a point that if your number is unregistered, and don't forget that you can't. Before even this registration, we had done registration before, and once you buy a SIM card, it's a requirement that the telcos must capture your details. So you are required to register. The only thing is that you don't at that time register with your Ghana card. Right. So what is happening now is what in the industry is called capture and validate. In about 85% of countries where there is mandatory SIM card registration, what happens is what they call capture and store. So the mobile operators are required to capture your data, and as and when government needs it, through a warrant, the operators are required to then release your information to them. We have decided to go capture and validate, where we capture the data and synchronize it with a centralized government database, which is the NIA database. And wherever that is being used, it requires that people who are supposed to register have the basic document, which is the NIA card.
Right.
And don't forget, there is also analysis pointing to the fact that, look, in every country you would have undocumented people who are fleeing their countries, people who are in the country but just don't have access to government service. How are we dealing with that? How are we going to cater for the interests of those people? And for me, the deadline is not workable. By September ending, we will still have about, 1 million people who still haven't gotten their NIA cards. And therefore, if they decide to enforce it, more than 1 million people will be cut off. And I don't think that is what we want in the country.
Right. Let's take a quick look at the Daily Graphic newspaper. It captures some of these stories, but it starts with NPP at 30. Let's work hard to retain power in 2024. That's according to President Akakpo, and he's been touting the prowess of the new patriotic party. History has it that it was actually to be named National Patriotic Party, and through some slip, it became New Patriotic Party. In fact, I think at the last National Delegates Conference, he actually started saying National and then went New Patriotic Party. So I think that is in there. That's just a bit of history there. But beautiful picture with the president, the second lady, or the wife of the vice president, I should say, among other top members of the party. There's also national standardization test results out, Ahafo, Bono region's top basic education. Government integrating Ghana system, credit system into Ghana card, that's according to the vice president. And SIM card re-registration extended for 2 months. Let's talk briefly about the NPP at 30 and what you feel the party can look forward to. What you feel the party has achieved in the Fourth Republic under John Ejekum Kufuor and now under President Akufo-Addo. We've already spoken about the SIM card re-registration. Maybe you can add that to the fact that Joseph Kome has advanced to the round of 16 in the Commonwealth Games. We started badly, Suleimana. Samir from the Samir brothers, he tested positive for a doping substance. That's not gone too well, but there's still some procedures that they have to go through. And there's also Azamati. All eyes on him as athletics begin at the game. So we can talk the MPP and then talk a bit of sports. I know you love sports.
Well, I would say to both stories, congratulations in all that. 30 years of the MPP is a significant milestone, and therefore to all the people who have made sure that the party has come this far, we say congratulations to them and also to the party as an entity. Yes, as a budding democracy, political parties are quite critical, and to be able to keep organized and strengthened for political competition is something that is encouraging. If you look at the recent Afrobarometer data, it points to the fact that despite all that we are going through, Ghanaians, the majority of Ghanaians would still prefer democratic governance to any form of governance. And we can only have democracy going if we have political parties. And so 30 years of the MPP, I say congratulations to them. Of course, there is a lot of improvements that has to happen. We talk about money in our politics, and all parties are guilty of it, particularly the MPP and the NDC. The MPP has been in power for two terms now, technically speaking, or 2 periods. President John Kufuor and now President Akufo-Addo, in line with so far the historical record. Both parties, or the parties, the MPP comes to power and is able to go through the second term elections. So Kufuor did 2 terms, and now President Akufo-Addo is doing his second term. So yes, we are making progress. But of course, again, if you look at the Afrobarometer data, everything points to the fact that we are nosediving rather than improving. President Akufo-Addo's record isn't that good, at least on the basis of the Afrobarometer data. He has the lowest approval ratings in the last 20 years. So the president with the lowest approval ratings post President Jerry Rawlings, or since 2002. And he has the highest disapproval ratings of all presidents since 2002. And so it's something that we need, or the president needs to work on. If I were him, I'll be significantly worried. Again, if you look at the data...
How much of a worry does he have? He wanted to be president, and he's achieved that. I mean, post the fact, he has been president. Whatever else happens, I mean, yes, people can talk about the broader party, but guess what? He's been president. And I mean, you can tick that off the bucket list.
Well,
he wanted to serve his country. He's done that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be too sad if that was all that he was looking for, to be president, and just to tick the box that I was once a president. I believe that the President Akufo-Addo would want to leave power and be proud of what he had done for the country, and a legacy that, you know, his family, his friends, his political party, and the people of Ghana will be proud of. Kwame Nkrumah died several years ago, before some of us were even born. And yet today, we still talk about Kwame Nkrumah. We are proud of Kwame Nkrumah. Wherever you go, there are places that you go, and once you show your passport, people say, oh, you are from Ghana, and we love Kwame Nkrumah. And that's decades ago. I would wish that we have a president who says, look, what I'm doing 4 years or 8 years, after leaving power, I would want Ghanaians to remember me for what I have done for the country, and my name to be written, you know, in gold letters in the history of Ghana. So reflecting on that, I believe President Akufo-Addo should be sad that right now, if he were to leave power today, it wouldn't be surprising for people to say that he's been the worst in terms of our fourth republic, because the disapproval rating is so high, the approval rating the lowest, and talk about corruption, and the presidency is up there, you know, number 2, both from the Afrobarometer data and the recent report by Shraj and Ghana Statistical Service. And in terms of press freedom, we've seen the ranking nosedive to 60th, you know, from our usual, you know, 30th, 31st, and so on and so forth. So various indicators really don't point to the right direction for the president, for the MPP at this stage. And I believe that the 2 years that we have ahead of us, you know, presents an opportunity for redemption. And I look forward to better governance from the MPP, a better governance from the president, so that at the end of the day, we will all be proud of his legacy.
And of course, in sports, we can wish our athletes, you know, most of them are in athletics and boxing. I think about 14 or so of them that are in there. We wish them the very best. But let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It regurgitates the bit about the SIM card registration deadline, talks about its extension, and says Communications Ministry makes U-turn to push deadline to September the 30th, 2022. PURC retrieves 24.7 million Ghana cedis for utilities from consumers in 6 months. There's government committed to industrial transformation agenda despite economic challenges. When you open to page 3, there's also woman's attempt to enforce Sunyani High Court ruling against SNIT foiled, and pandemonium broke out at the premises of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Sunyani, on Tuesday, when a middle-aged woman stormed the premises of the state institution to tow one of the vehicles belonging to SNIT. The woman with the operators of the towing car was, however, prevented by SNIT security personnel from carrying through the intended action. Now, when inquired about from the woman, Comfort Kunedu Boateng, a resident of Sunyani, she told the Ghanaian Times that her action was informed by a judgment by the Sunyani High Court on June 15, 2022. According to the judgment, which the Ghanaian Times has in its possession, the High Court, presided over by Justice Douglas Seidu on June 15 this year, ruled against SNIT, the defendant, and awarded a cost of 5,000 Ghana cedis. The court declared that the late James Kojo Arthur, a former employee of the Lands Commission, Sunyani, lawfully nominated Comfort Boateng as a beneficiary of the deceased SNIT contribution. Obviously, there was some misunderstanding, disagreement there, and non-payment, of course, and it's just the action that got me a bit, wanting to tow a vehicle of SNIT. Now, that's new. That's an interesting one. But on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, suspended boxer Samed devastated. I spoke to you about Samed a short while ago. And Galaxy see off Benin to set up Nigeria clash. In the first leg, they beat them 3-0. The Young Squirrels of Benin. And in the second one, they beat them 1-0 in Benin. Any quick reflections before we move on to the Daily Guide?
Well, pensions is certainly an important issue to look at. The TUC, I think 2 weeks ago, was talking about our pension scheme and the need for reforms. I've heard about some government workers talking about their contributions, certain aspect of their contributions not being paid for months now. We all are SNIT contributors, and therefore we would want SNIT to operate in a way that wouldn't get us somehow anxious about the future and whether we would be getting our monies when we retire one day. Certainly the woman was trying to enforce a court judgment. There could have been a way to go about it, but personally trying to conduct that exercise perhaps is what resulted in the uproar. And so I think it's worth looking into it, and if indeed it's a court judgment, the state supporting the woman to be able to redeem whatever is due her. In terms of the Commonwealth Games, yes, congratulations to those who are making us proud, those who have represented Ghana, whether they are able to go through or not. It's unfortunate that one of our brothers had to be tested positive for whatever substance it is. It's great to learn that the Galaxies are making progress, and we can wish them well. At least it's not everything negative. We're seeing things that are also positive. And so we just wish them well and encourage Ghanaians to offer them the needed support.
Let's get into the Daily Guide newspaper. Most of the stories we've seen already, but there's also Upon Kruma Settles of Fuasia Yorubi Melee. But the big story there, the banner headline, Bloodbath at NDC Elections. Story on page 3. And it says the ongoing branch elections of the opposition NDC is creating a bloodbath across the regions. Anarchy and confusion have taken center stage across constituencies in which branch elections have commenced. In Upper West, the regional chairman of the NDC, Abdul Nasir Bunas, is said to have gone against the party's guidelines and hoarded nomination forms in constituencies. Such actions of the regional chairman has created tension and misunderstanding in Sisala East. And Daily Guide says it's chanced upon some nomination forms that were allegedly hijacked and signed by the regional chairman. So some of these practices we see across the board in the NDC and the NPP. We complain about these same matters. But of course, being given prominence here, of course, it's the Daily Guide we're reviewing. Suleiman Abrahima, your quick thoughts on that?
Well, I think, first of all, the MPP has gone through the level elections from branch, constituency, regional to national, and it was quite admirable in terms of the peaceful conduct of all these processes, at all levels. Of course, people talked about the presence of money and the use of money and all of that, but I believe it's a practice that is prevalent in both political parties. I have also heard about these developments within the NDC in terms of people trying to manipulate the system, people trying to, edit and edit the registers and so on and so forth. That's really undemocratic. I believe again that our politics is all about machinations and people trying to outwit each other. The expectation would be that these elections are conducted in a peaceful way, in a democratic manner, and all of that. But listening to you read the story, I don't have the benefit of reading the story. Listening to you read the story, the content of the story, I think that the headline is quite a bit sensational in terms of describing what you have read as an incident of bloodbath. When I saw and heard the headline, I thought
thinking exactly.
I thought that there was something really significant that had happened. I think it's quite a sensational headline.
Well, let's quickly look at a few more papers and then we shall call it a review. You might find this one interesting. Republic Press. So Veep clarifies Ghana card over 1,000 interchanges statement, but not that. No one can be president in Ghana without my knowledge. Guess who's saying that? Reverend Owusu Bempah. He says no one can be president in Ghana without his knowledge. In recent times, he's spoken about some not so cozy relationships with the president like before. But what do you make of that? I found that rather curious. And there's maybe you should just take a look at that before I move to Economy Times.
Well, it's very comical in my view. And I don't know why we keep entertaining people like Owusu Bempah. It's unfortunate, at some point, it was almost as though it's real in terms of the relationship between Owusu Bempah and the president. And I've also been reading or seeing some headlines that are quite unfavorable in terms of what he says about the president these days. And it's all because we tolerate some of these comedians who parade themselves as religious people. The earlier we abandon and really show them their levels, the better. Because they keep coming up, I know who is going to be president. I have dreamt about who is the president. I know the name of the president, who is the next president, but I won't put it out. I mean, if it were so, we would all be able to do that. I can predict who will be the president in 2025, January. I had a dream and I saw who will be the president in January 2025. Vice President Bawumia is likely to win, but he has to be serious. I mean, what kind of comedy is this? But people wanting to make money will do all manner of things, call themselves prophets and malams and so on. So long as we continue to entertain them, these comedians continue to put themselves as important people in the realm of spirituality.
Let's wrap with these two quick bits. So Economy Times, Ghana's current account worsens. It talks about how figures from the Bank of Ghana show that Ghana's current account has worsened further for the first half of 2022, primarily due to higher net outflows from the income and services account, in particular repatriation of profits and dividends, which offset the gains in the trade account. You can check out more details in this story. And again, revenue shortfall, interest rate payments, widened fiscal deficit. You can put that together as one briefly. But I just wanted to end with you on this undertaking of professional law course applicants. I don't know whether you've cited it, but I want to read for the benefit of those who haven't. The General Legal Counsel has over the years established credible, rigorous, and well-benchmarked systems and procedures for assessing answer booklets and rechecking of same for all candidates before examination results are released. Thus, the decision of the General Legal Counsel in respect of the published results of the entrance examination shall be final. No request for remarking of scripts, retallying of scores, or review of marks shall be accepted. Candidates cannot request to see their marked answer scripts or the marking schemes used for marking the questions. In view of the above, I undertake, of course, you are the applicant, to accept without question the decision of the General Legal Counsel in respect of the published results of the entrance examination as final. You know, I don't know. I've been around. I've never, maybe I don't know about what pertains in other countries, but I've never been in a country where you cite such undertakings. But we do in Ghana. Your quick reflections, and we're gone.
Well, you see, when repression begins to manifest itself, you see it everywhere. When people in authority would want to deny less privileged people of their fundamental rights, you see it everywhere. When evidence and manifestations of autocracy begins to manifest, you see it everywhere. And that is what we are seeing in terms of what you are reading from the General Legal Counsel. Repression, oppression, and denial of people, denial of the fundamental rights of people is becoming the order of the day. And so every sector, every institution begins to put in place its own mechanisms of ensuring that it assesses the power that has been given to such institutions, at the discomfort and the displeasure of the individuals who are less privileged. It's the same thing we are seeing in the SIM card registration. Look, we have the power. We will do what we want to be done. You can go to hell if you want. We are the General Legal Counsel. Before you come to the law school, you have to write the exam. Once you write it, that's it. However we choose to do it, you have no liberty to
you don't know what the pass mark is.
Yes.
The only examination where you don't know what the pass mark is, and even if they tell you you failed, you have no right to seek a retallying, remarking of scripts. I mean, where does this happen?
That's absolutely autocratic. And as I said, it's because, okay, we have the power. We will make the rules in such a way that, look, whatever we want to do is what we will do. And that is what we are seeing in our country today. In almost every sector, you talk to people and they tell you, look, we can't talk. The Afrobarometer data, people were asked, do you think it is safe to talk about corruption? And the results indicated majority of people saying no. Free education. Teachers, headmasters cannot express their divergent opinions, cannot express views that are contrary to the position of government.
Right.
Today, that is why we are having this flip-flop situation where the GES Director General will come and say, well, we are thinking of reviewing it.
Right.
He's bullied. He issues a statement to say, no, it's not going to be reviewed. Then the next 2 weeks, you hear the finance minister say, well,
it's constantly under review
of ASHS is constantly on the table, and so on and so forth. There is no policy credibility, and that's all because people in power want to assert their power in ways that are so repressive. It's the same thing we are seeing in the Bank of Ghana figures that you talked about. You don't know who to believe. You don't know who to trust. Today it is this, the next day it is that. I think that, again, as I said from the beginning, President Akufo-Addo should be worried that if care is not taken, he will go down as the worst in terms of the post-Rawlings era. And I say post-Rawlings because we all know Rawlings came from the military background, became democratic leader. And during the Rawlings era, a lot of indicators that we keep measuring today was not in place. And so President Akufo-Addo has to up his game. And once he does that, I'm sure it would reflect in almost every sector. Democracy is about kebi mamin kebi. Let people express themselves. Let people assert their rights. Let people have their rights. And that's the only way we can develop our country.
Suleimana Brahima there, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. I see the last bit got you even more passionate than maybe all the other things we had discussed. But thank you so much,
Absolutely.
sir. Thank
you so much. Have a great week.
I wish you the same. Well, time now for us to get into sports. We'll be telling you more about what to expect as well at the Commonwealth Games. Do stay. It's a new month. Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. So we've cleared the news and the news review, but coming up, we're going to be giving you our big stories. It's all about one SIM card re-registration and all that has to do with it. The 5 Ghana cedis that has to be paid now for those who want to use that self-service app. But what do you make of it, especially as some say this does not have parliamentary approval? We'll also be having an interaction with academician, intellectual, Pan-Africanist, I could go on and on, Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy. She'll be sharing her thoughts with us this morning on education, on the Afua Sutherland Park, and other matters germane to our national life. But for now, we know about the spate of accidents in the country. We've put together, well, what we've had for a long time, Drive Safe. Look forward to this every Monday, and we kickstart that today with an interaction with Cecil Gabra, CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. And this morning, we're talking about the types of headlights. This is part 1. Enjoy. This is Drive Safe with me, Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for making the time. We start from knowing more about what to do on our roads and maybe even knowing what to say when drivers are losing their way. We're going to be falling on the Ghana Highway Code, among other tools, as we learn more about driving safe. Right before I tell you about my guest, though, for today, how about we find out how much you know? So you think you know. Well, watch this. Now, at the latter end of this segment, we're going to find out what exactly that road sign means. But without further ado, let me say hello to Mr. Cecil Gabra, who is actually the CEO of Top Tech Transport and Logistics. Mr. Gabra, thank you for joining us.
Very most welcome.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about a number of things from headlights, that is the types of headlights, the LI, the laws, the regulations, and reflectors, among others. When it comes to carnage on our roads, sometimes it also has to do with lights and how people use them. So let's start with the types of headlights.
Well, so whatever it is, the lights are part of the vehicles. And for every vehicle, you must not tamper with what the manufacturer has placed there.
Okay.
Right. If the manufacturer has placed lights, definitely it has been calculated by law. Your dim light must see up to 50 meters, and then your high beam must see up to 100 meters. So if you have adjusted it yourself, then it means that it will be either shut off, or it will see the floor, or it will go up. So lights are part of the car, and therefore you must not touch it. If you want to touch it, drive to every DVLA office. They have equipment to adjust your lights so that they can see very well.
But why would people want to modify their lights in the first place?
Well, it is just like people who are fixing tinted glasses on their lights and fixing what we call balloon ties, just to beautify their vehicle. But for lights issue, you must be very careful not to throw your lights to hurt anybody who is also driving or anybody who is walking. Now, the law says that don't tamper with your lights, don't add any lights to your vehicle. So you have 2 lights fitted on your vehicle. Okay, that is left and right, and you have it as dim or high. Some have got it as inbuilt, and others are separate, so you can see maybe 4 lights. One set, that's 1 pair, is the dim light, and then you can see another set of 2, which is high light. Then underneath the bonnet, you have what we call the fog lights. These are the manufacturer's specifications. You may see other pickups with lights on top of their vehicles. Now, these lights are supposed to be fixed with regulations. That is, you have to take the permission from DVLA and then tell us what you want to use the lights for. If it's for farming late farming, yes, you can put it on your vehicle, but you cannot use it practically on the highway. Okay, so that is not permitted. And that is what we see in this country. Now we have various types of lights. Okay, we have the halogen, we have the xenon, and we have the LED, which is of late very common. You see a 4x4 driving, and it's using an LED. It has been calibrated that it will not blind you when you are driving on the opposite side. However, the highlights are really powerful. Highlights are not supposed to be used to drive. Now, the law states categorically, if you look at the LI 2180 regulation 65, right? It is so clear to tell you what types of lights you can fix. Right now, so you don't fix lights where when you throw your lights, it will hurt somebody's eyes. I mean, let me put it that way.
And all of that depends on even the angle of the car, because sometimes people do it, but not intentionally.
Precisely. No, the ones that you see that causes problems is just so clear that people have their own intentions that, look, let me see well than everybody, and which is so wrong. If you are seeing well than everybody, then who else can also drive?
Right.
So it's a common mistake where people make by fixing extra lights and then also readjusting their lights. But if you look at the readjusting system, it is just so clear, like I said, 50 meters for dim lights and then 100 meters for high lights. That is it, nothing else. You cannot put on any additional lights to blind anybody who is using the road. And the law also states that as you are driving, you only drive with dim lights. Okay, so we say at night, dip your lights when you are driving, because
there's dawn, dawn driving leading into the early morning, and
precisely.
There's night. So, dear friends, we're trying to save ourselves, to drive safe and stay alive. Today we've been learning about headlights, the different types, how many we need on our cars. But right before we wrap, so you think you know? Well, this is the road signal or the road sign that we showed you earlier. Do you think you know what it was? This actually is the answer. And so there you have it. This is another installment of Drive Safe with me, Benjamin Akakpo. I have been with CEO of Top Tech Transport and Logistics, Mr. Cecil Gabra, who's been gracious enough to have us come here and be with him. Don't forget to drive safe and stay alive. Thank you for watching. Welcome back, and of course, as you can see, Her Excellency Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah has finally joined us after, she got us sitting on tenterhooks for a bit because she said it was a Monday morning, new month, and we had to.
Really?
That's just on the lighter side.
Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining the AM show once again. It's time to delve into the big story for today. Over the weekend, we heard from the Minister responsible for communications on the extension of the SIM card re-registration. And she tells us that she reluctantly agreed to extend it. You have 2 more months if you've not done so. And Benjamin, she says, under no circumstance will there be an extension to this new deadline.
I am almost 60–70% sure we just might extend it again.
I also believe so, and also because
she would have to reluctantly extend it again.
Not that we are sounding pessimistic, but when you look at what's happening at the Ghana card registration centers, there is a bit of chaos sometimes. And
sometimes?
And this is not about...
Numbers tell a story.
This is not about people who are even now attempting to register.
Right.
Persons who've registered as far back as 2019 are still yet to receive their cards. That is problematic. There is something the NIA should be telling us. And also, persons who are not yet in the country, who may have local numbers, you know. So it's not as straitjacket as it is. There are a few issues to explore, especially about this new app we have been told about. I know of an
self-service app.
I know of an app that exists. When you go to some of the mobile network centers, when you're going to do the re-registration, sometimes they just use a phone. And I want to believe it's an app. In fact, I know of an app that exists.
Yeah.
If it is the same app we are going to be giving to the general public, the question is, why didn't we explore that angle earlier?
Right.
Because people...
And I see, just to chip in what you're saying, because when I registered for my 2 SIM cards in church, for example, you would see that was the app they were basically using, and then they would take your biometrics and
a photo.
You know, photos and all of that. So again, we ask ourselves, were we paying for the app when they were using it then? What has changed? Is this a punitive measure? And why 5 CDs? Like I was just sharing with you earlier, 17 million people, that multiplied by 5, that is 85 million Ghana cedis. How do we account for that?
Great question. A lot of questions and angles to explore, but let's hear from the communication minister herself, and then we can come back to have that conversation.
The statistics indicate that there was a 90% drop in SIM registrations as soon as the first deadline was extended on 21st March. Until a week ago, there were no queues at any registration center. People started rushing to register when they realized that the deadline was imminent after going to sleep when it was extended. About 50% of those who have completed the first stage of the process have not concluded the second stage. They have linked their SIMs to the Ghana card, and so that cannot be attributed to Ghana card challenges. I've also been informed that some people who have obtained quick loans from their service providers have decided not to register their SIMs to avoid repaying those loans. That is evil corruption, and you will be found out. The MNOs, network operators, and the NCA, and I dare say the NIA too, have all engaged additional staff, procure the necessary logistics, and are incurring significant expenses to conduct this exercise successfully. Any extension of the process increases their costs. Upon consultation with the industry, and in view of the challenges enumerated above, I have very reluctantly decided to grant a final conditional extension. The program will, and I'm choosing my words carefully, the program will be extended to 30th September to end on the anniversary of its commencement. That will give us 1 full year of SIM registration. It will be reviewed at the end of this month, and any SIM that has not been fully registered by the end of August will be barred from receiving certain services, including voice and data services. It will also be more expensive to use unregistered SIMs. The full range of punitive measures will be announced at another press briefing in September. Kindly do not blame your service provider when you suffer that fate due to your own inaction. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. The SIM registration app will be available for download on both Android and iOS this week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Each registration via the app will be subject to a 5 CD surcharge. You will pay 5 CDs to register yourself on the SIM registration app. Non-resident Ghanaians who do not have the Ghana card can use their passports to complete the process via the app, but will be required to update their details with the Ghana card once they acquire it. They have up to December 2022 to do so. I urge them to comply with these directives and to contact the NCA if they have any peculiar challenges. Ghanaians on official assignment outside the country or students on scholarships who cannot acquire the Ghana card by December should also contact the NCA. Special provision has already been made for members of the diplomatic corps in consultation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and they have been notified. It's also come to my knowledge that amputees and others who have some physical challenge are also a category of persons who are having some difficulties registering their SIMs. We will have discussions with the NIA on how to resolve these challenges. All visitors to Ghana can now acquire SIMs with their passports, and I encourage the airport authority to work with the network operators to provide adequate venues for the acquisition of SIMs at the airport. As indicated earlier, these will be valid for 3 months, and if they want to use them for a longer period, they must acquire the non-citizen ID card to validate their SIMs. Network operators must provision their systems to send notifications to this category of SIM card users. Government, in a bid to develop and build a SIM database with integrity, which will assist in curbing fraudulent activities, secure SIM card-based transactions, and aid the determination of the accurate number of valid SIM cards on the various telecommunications networks at any point in time, commenced the SIM card registration exercise on 1st October 2021. The 6-month exercise, which was expected to end on 31st March 2022, was extended by another 4 months to 31st July 2022 today. The extension was granted to enable over 7.5 million Ghanaians and residents who had not obtained Ghana cards at the time to register their SIMs. As indicated in our press release of 21st March 2022, it was also to give us the opportunity to provide modalities for the registration of diplomats and complete the processes for rolling out a self-service SIM registration app to facilitate the registration of SIM cards for both residents and Ghanaians living outside the country. The current SIM registration statistics indicate that as of 28th July, the total voice SIMs were 42,121,921. That's the information provided me by the NCA. Stage 1 registrations as at that date, 28th July, were 25,260,661, representing 60% of total registrations. Stage 1 of unregistered SIMs were 16,861,260, representing 40%. Stage 2, i.e. those who had fully completed the registration process, were 16,059,350, representing 38%. Unregistered SIMs were 26,062,571, representing 62%. The challenges that have bedeviled these exercises include: 1, the self-service SIM registration app will be ready for commercial launch on Tuesday, 2nd August, as the virtual private network connectivity and API integration with all MNOs was only completed this weekend due to unavoidable circumstances. Adequate time will also be required for the publicity and public education on the use of the self-service SIM registration app, which will enable you to register yourself in the privacy of your own homes without having to queue or go to any network operator. Delays in the issuance of the Ghana card was the largest single challenge bedeviling this exercise. And my information is that the NIA has not been able to issue all eligible persons with a Ghana card, and that as of Thursday, July 21st, 2022, 16,969,034 individuals have registered for the Ghana card, with about 16,535,623 cards printed. 15,000,000 702,719 cards have been issued and distributed, whereas some 832,904 cards have not been distributed or collected by those who applied for them. Broadband wireless access registrations also commenced barely a week ago, and they have only been able to register just about 2% of their subscribers as at Friday, 29th July. Many data-only SIMs have also not been registered, and my information is that their owners were not aware that those SIMs also needed to be registered. Those are the SIMs in your MiFis and other devices, not your phones and iPads and those other, but those data-only SIMs. I believe some of them are even in our electricity meters, if my information is right. So, where do we go from here? The security situation in Boku and its environs has also made it difficult for the registration of residents and has slowed down the process in that area considerably. Next steps.
And that was our communications minister very reluctantly, extending the deadline. But I asked myself, you were making a crucial point, which I have asked in the past. Why do we have to, in other languages, they would use something like obstaculate, hamper, the ordinary citizen when it comes to very simple processes. So you want your SNIT, whatever. My SNIT took my biometrics, my Ghana card. They took my biometrics. So if you're going to have something on the back of the Ghana card, should we have another biometric? I mean, is it just to create jobs for people, or is it that we need biometrics to be taken for each? My biometrics haven't changed, have they?
No. And I'm not sure they will change. Do they ever change? They don't change.
Well, sometimes people, when you watch movies, sometimes they can take off criminals and all that. But mine haven't changed.
Are very drastic. Something drastic has to happen to you. So aside from the question you've asked, the minister said something about persons with disability.
Right.
And I'm just thinking to myself, having gone through the process of even taking biometrics for a voter registration exercise, this should have been something that should have been vital in at the pre-discussion stage. I mean, pre-implementation, that's what I mean to say.
It basically means they weren't factored into the conversation from the outset. At the
pre-implementation stage, we should have considered persons who do not have arms, fingers. How do you capture their biometrics? What else can you do? So this appears to be an afterthought, and I'm sorry, where the world is going now, it's getting very inclusive. You cannot implement something like this without thinking about it.
That's a section of Ghanaians you've just cut off, basically.
Then there's the other question about the NIA and the telcos. During that presser, I would have wished that we had somebody from the NIA coming to explain to us some of these things, because she admits herself that the initial postponement of the deadline happened because a lot of Ghanaians hadn't been issued with their Ghana cards.
Exactly.
So this is not just a thing of the communications ministry trying to ensure that telcos or Ghanaians register with their telcos. There is something we need to register with the telcos. And I'm sorry.
And when you restrict it and say it's the Ghana card, and people, obviously, a lot of people don't have the Ghana card, what does that mean? It means they can't possibly register, which is why I found it a bit comical. And, I may sound a bit pessimistic about all this, but when you have the problem that, Bernice, you're talking about, where millions of Ghanaians do not have the Ghana card, how do you expect them to that is why I'm saying that, mark my words, likely the 30th of September will come, and if the trend, the numbers registered, mind you, have you gone by some of these registration centers? Both the Ghana card and SIM card re-registration. Do you see how slow the process tends to be? If you even look at that process, multiply it by the number of centers we have, you can, from the top of your head, see that the numbers are not matching, and come September, we likely will have to extend.
So,
again.
Benjamin, I must admit, there may be some people who just don't want to go through this because they want to frustrate the system.
That's fine.
But there are genuine issues. There are look at the gentleman Michael spoke to on Friday. He was holding his Ghana card. He goes to his service provider and he's being told, we cannot activate it. We don't know what the problem is. So he now has to go and join a long queue at the Awak Sports Stadium. Okay, Benjamin, look. When I hear SIM re-registration, it just upsets me. Re-registration.
Exactly.
So when you go and apply for your Ghana card, I have my Ghana card. So I know, I'm speaking from experience. Your telephone numbers are taken. They capture your biometrics. In fact, they even capture your iris. Go as far as that.
Like Suleimana would say, it's one of the most invasive processes. So after all of that,
then I have to go and get my biometric takings. Are we using different databases? I don't get it. Because the idea, I believe, of having this whole digitalization drive is for us to have a converged central identification system for every Ghanaian. So wherever you go, using your Ghana card, we know it's you and nobody else.
Right.
So I'm sorry, but it appears to be a very confused
and I agree.
Project.
And is that not even why at a point we were talking about, you remember the Vice President and co talking about the fact that the Ghana card, so from the cradle to the grave, even children at a point will be issued with it so that everything you do can be tracked. It makes nonsense of everything we've been doing if we have to go through these processes ad infinitum, ad nauseum. And you know, sometimes these are the things that happen and then you want to ask yourself, is it just to create openings for certain people? In terms of, because why would one entity register our biometrics? For every card you're going to get, they'll have a different system registering biometrics. Why can't we have one pool to which the state can go and have my biometrics? Why do I have to go through this entire system for
Is that not the reason we're doing the Ghana card?
Voter's ID, go through my SNIT, go through my Ghana card,
everything. And, you know, the other thing for me is about how much we have to pay for using the service. Okay, so
maybe right before we get into that, it's time for you to, you know, call in. I'm sure you've had your own experiences. Just call in and share your thoughts with us. 0302-211-691 extension 2. That number will be on your screen. Just call and let us know what you think about this entire process. Now about the money.
What is that 5 CD? What are we paying for? That's the question I think I want to ask. What are we paying for the app? What are we paying for? Are we paying for the app? If it is the same app that the telcos or the agents of the telcos are using, do they also have to pay for every individual they register? Does the telcos or do the telcos take care of that cost? If they do, we want to know. And so to say that for self-service, you will then have to cater for the cost. How much are we paying the app developer? Why 5 CDs? Why not less?
Good question.
Why not less?
Good question.
What went into arriving at that amount? She didn't tell us. She didn't break it down for us to know.
Where will that money go?
Good question.
If it's not going to maybe the app developer, and even then we must interrogate why it is costing X amount and all of that. This apparently doesn't have parliamentary approval. So is the minister acting on her own? Where is her locus in all of this? And like I mentioned, when you do the multiplication, 5 CDs by the 17 million or so people, it's 85 million Ghana cedis. That is no joke in terms of money.
Well,
where's it going?
We've got some callers. Daniel is joining us from Ablekuma. Hello, Daniel. Let's hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, what I'm saying is all this registration thing is giving us headache in this country. We don't understand that we have the passport, we have the voter's ID card, that we can't use it to do the registration. Then we go in for a queue to get NI. You understand? So my problem is this app that is bringing, we are Ghanaian. What should we start on it? Why are you charging 5 cedis before we can do our self-registration? Once we pay tax, we do other things that is helping the nation. So can't we get anything in this country for free for us, with the Ghanaians or the citizens, to have our way out? So this is my contribution to this self-registration thing.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Let's go to Wa. Aziz is calling us from there. Hello, Aziz. Good morning. Let's hear you.
Good morning. My name is Aziz Donla. I'm calling from Wa.
Please go ahead. Let's hear you.
It's very worrisome. If you go to the NIA office currently, the kind of struggle people are going through. When are they getting their car? Talking of registering. If you go to the telecos, same thing is happening there. Someone from one of the communities in Wa East called Gohi community. The man registered the car, couldn't get the car till this. We are being followed up and he's not getting it. So now if you block such a person's SIM card, have we gone or we have come? If you go to place, people have not registered. If you go to Logo, go to place, a lot of people have not registered. In the white communities, if you go there, it's a remote area. So if government want to help these people as they claim they want to be, then they have to open up the centers and get them their cards as soon as possible. You know, to block their centers, one, it's going even to affect the government in particular, because you are using Momo e-levy to get some people to pay e-levy. Now, if you block their centers, are they going to pay the e-levy? Meaning your revenue will go down. Then the telecom will also lose. Then the user will also be affected. So I would say that this government have to change their way of doing things. Because the people of this country are suffering. If you anything that we should pay 5 Ghana cedi and register, look at the way the economy is hard on everyone. And you're asking us to pay 5 Ghana cedi again. For what again? The economy is hard. We need to change things. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling. Rukaya is joining us from Tamale. Hello, Rukaya. Good morning. Let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Mutala from Tamale. First of all, there shouldn't be a deadline for this SIM card.
Your name is what, Rukaya?
Mutala.
Mutala, yes, because I was expecting to hear a female voice when I said Rukaya. Sorry about that, Mutala. Let's hear you.
No problem. First of all, there shouldn't be a deadline for this registration. It should be a continuous process so that everybody can be captured eventually.
Okay.
Secondly, the posture of the minister, she's acting so arrogant and rude. She's supposed to serve us. We pay her. So she should not behave like Ghana belongs to her. And she should also remember that power is transient. They are not going to be in power forever. This is not about politics. We are not her children for her to be dictating us, threatening us, and all sort of intimidation. We pay her with our taxes. The act should not be. They shouldn't reduce it. They should just scrap it off so that it will be free. The app is being created by our taxes. So why should government use our taxes to sell something for us again? It doesn't make sense. You understand? So they should look on it and see what we can do, but not try to impose on us their authority to just prove to us that they are in power. Anything can happen. And Ghanaians, we are so timid. We pamper these people. They are working for us. We should not be pampering them. We should let them know that if we all stop registering our things, they will come and beg us house to house. So we should not be pampering them. We have to be up and do it and push them to do what is right.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you so much, Mutala, for calling. And I've seen, Benjamin, a number of comments on social media about the posture of the minister.
Right.
You know, when she says, I reluctantly.
Very reluctantly.
You know, it comes across as, I didn't want to do this, but I had to do it. You know, that posture.
I'm doing you a favor, sort of.
Exactly.
Look, if no one is telling people in authority, I think some of us must, that they are there, like a caller just said, to serve us. And at least, even if you think a certain way, when you're interacting with the people, the demeanor must change, because all of this doesn't, it doesn't instill the right kind of feeling in people. And you see people are calling, talking about exactly that. But we have Isa on the line as well. Isa, good morning. Hello, Isa.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
How are you, sir? What do you have to share with us?
Chief. Good morning, sir, Chief.
Good morning. Please go ahead, Isa.
Yeah, but we are disappointed with the NIA registration. In fact, during a mass registration, my people... Hello, I'm saying that we are disappointed with the NIA. Simply because during the mass registration, a lot of people said that their card is not yet received. And many of them went to the NIA office for several occasions to pick their card, and they said the card is not there. Went there several times, and they said they should bring the receipt that they issued to them. We brought it. The name cannot be found. They will check up from the regional level and give them feedback. Up to date, we are not getting any information. Right now, my people are worrying me. I am the supplement of the area. They are worrying me. Whether their names are there or not, they are asking whether if their cards are not there and names be found from the system, they should give them the opportunity to re-register. They're not giving them the opportunity. Right now, they are saying that they are going to block it. If they block it, how are they going to do?
But you're aware there's been an extension, right? You're aware there's been an extension.
The extension is not the problem. The people, their names, they don't know whether their names are in the NIA office or not, whether their cards are there or not. And if they do make registration again, it will be double registration. Until the office will give them the go ahead that their names are not there, and for them that you can go ahead and register them.
Thank you, Isa.
Those people are stranded.
I feel your frustration. Thank you so much, Isa. And Benjamin, so what we are learning is that during the mass registration, there was a bit of a problem with the coding.
Right.
And that is why, like he's saying, some people registered here, but they go to the office and their cards aren't there. So it's possible that their cards may be sitting somewhere else. And this nation is big.
They have no idea. In fact, I've encountered so many people like that. And then you're caught in limbo because you ask yourself, do I try re-registering?
Yes.
And if I do re-register, then they might say I'm a criminal, I'm trying to do something, when in fact, it is through no fault of mine.
So there is a big problem. And the NIA must come clean. Look, this issue you're talking about. So when I went to register for my Ghana card, there was a gentleman who had tried it that way. So, you know, the mass registration exercise didn't come with any cost. But now you need to pay some amount of money to get registered. So this gentleman is waiting for his card. He's not getting it. So he decided that why not re-register? And then he tries and the system flags him. Okay.
Right.
So there's a problem, like you're saying. Why are you doing double registration? The guy is trying to explain. They don't want to hear it because the law doesn't permit that. So the NIA should tell us what is happening. Why is it that people have registered since 2019, 2020, and they cannot access their cards? What are you doing for those, people, such persons? What is the way out for them?
Right.
We should know.
And ask yourself, what card do you register for? Identity, for identification purposes. And it takes 3 years before you get. And on top of that, now you tell people that if on the back of a failed, and I'm using failed here in context because in some ways the system has failed. On the back of this failure, we're going to charge them 5 CDs for the failure that is not theirs.
I think you see, and this issue of the minister saying, so that's someone showing their receipt over there. Look at that. That's proof that she's registered.
Yeah.
And the minister saying, don't ask me any question related to the Ghana card. I'm sorry, madam. We should ask questions related to the Ghana card.
I found that so disingenuous because guess what? The Ghana card is the very foundation of what you are doing. And again, people have posed the question about how much integration, how they are working hand in glove in the first place. The NIA, the National Identification Authority, and the Communications Ministry. In the past, there have been issues about...
So let us ask the question. Is the NIA and the Communication Ministry working together? Are these two entities working together? Why didn't we have a rep of the NIA at that particular engagement with the press yesterday? Like Benjamin is saying, you cannot divorce the two. They work together. So why didn't we have a rep there? And why couldn't we ask questions relating to the NIA? Well, Our colleague Ina Thalia Kwanzaa joins us from Takoradi. Hello, Ina. What are you able to tell us this morning?
So this morning, I've been to the Vodafone area where registration is supposed to kickstart. I've seen some officers there ready, but a few people are here. You can see behind me, this is around the circle, the Central Business District, and this is where MTN also does its registration. But behind me, I can count just like 10 people with the officers there. So it's not really busy as it's supposed to be this morning. But hopefully, we would keep on checking in the course of the day if really people will be trooping in. Unlike 2 days ago when people were trooping in to do their registration, this morning it's a bit calm here.
Sorry, Benjamin, you have to take over. I'm struggling a bit.
So, in Natalia, I get what you mean, and I guess people are trooping in, or at least they will be soon. But what has been the general reaction? How have people responded to the difficulties they've been facing in terms of this registration exercise? What have they been sharing with you?
Yes, Benjamin. So basically, it has been with the issue of network. For instance, MTN for some time now, from last week till now, has got a very poor reception here in the Western region, most part of the region. And so they tell you that you go and you queue for a very long time, and then they keep on telling you network issues. And then with some people too, they would come and then they don't even know their digital address system. And so these are some of the issues that makes the process a bit longer. So these are basically the two issues. And then when it was just about 2 days for the supposed close date, people were trooping in their numbers. Before, people were reluctant. So these are the basic issues in the region for now.
Now that the deadline has been extended, how do people feel? Are they more willing to go through the processes, though the telcos are still facing the challenges of network connectivity and others? Any thoughts they've been sharing with you on that?
Well, people think that it's been extended, and so definitely, even if they are not able to pull through to September, they know that definitely a new date would be given out, and so they will take their time. Those who can register for now, they will, but those who can't, they tell me that they will take their time because they know even if there would be a deadline, it should be probably the close of this year or even extended to next year. That's what they are hoping for.
Finally, Natalia, just quickly on the bit about the 5 CDs. Any thoughts people have been sharing with you on that? Are they willing to pay it?
Well, for some people, they feel that there is nothing wrong with it. It's a divergent view. Others feel that there is no need for them to pay that 5 cedis because, I mean, this is an exercise that they think it's not really necessary. And they even feel that if indeed they are merging with our Ghana card, they already have our database or they already have their database. So what is even the need to queue up and then to go through this process and even pay 5 cedis on top of it? They think it is not the best.
Natalia, we're so grateful that you brought us the scoop from Takoradi. We'll be standing by when you have more to give us, to share with us. But let's quickly bring in Nanaya Ojima, who's standing by for us in Kumasi. Nanaya, what is the picture in Kumasi as far as, first of all, securing Ghana cards, then the SIM card re-registration are involved? And tell us about how people are reacting to the deadline extension and the 5 Ghana CD payment that has been introduced.
Good morning, Benjamin. So in Kumasi, it's still early. The MTN offices in Kumasi are yet to see people in their numbers. Last week, when they knew that deadline was on Friday, when you come here, you see a number of people seated, awaiting the registration or for the registration to take place for them. But after a lot of people who troop in, some wouldn't even be able to get seats within the tent that have been mounted here. So they have to stand outside the tent. Some have to sit on the ground waiting for their tent to get their registration done for them. But today, as at 8 a.m., when the office of the MTN here at Aida opened, a number of the seats are empty. I would want to turn my camera around so that you can see what exactly is happening here. Most of the seats here are empty, but the service provider, that's MTN, have made sure that they have a number of their staff going around each of the seats here, or the occupied seats here, to give the service or offer the service to the people here. It looks like I'm seeing a lot more staff than earlier times when I visited this area, meaning that the service provider is ready and geared towards ensuring that everyone who visits this place gets the service that the people pay for. Now, I've been speaking to some of the people, and according to them, they visited here last week, but unfortunately, they were not able to get the registration done for them. So when they heard of the extension, they decided to take advantage of it and come get the service rendered to them. So they are happy or excited about the situation. But there are some few coming through to this place. Some few who tell me that they still have challenges with the Ghana card. The office of the NIA is still choked with a lot of people who are waiting to receive their Ghana card so that they can proceed to get this service that's being rendered to them here at the telecom company's office. So there are still some people awaiting their Ghana cards for them to allow them to get access to this area and get the registration done. So what I can say is that even though the days have been extended, the offices of these telecom networks are yet to see the numbers that they were witnessing last.
Very much, Danaya Jima, for bringing us the scoop on that.
Yes, let's head to the Bono East region now, where Anas Bit is for us. Hello, Anas. What can you report where you are?
Bernice, right at the MTN office here in Kichima, where, as I speak to you, we have people chipping in to ensure that they take advantage of the extension of this deadline by the Communications Ministry. Of course, I have been able to engage a few of the MTN officers here, and they tell me the exercise will be starting within the next couple of minutes. But we have a number of people already in here, like I said earlier, trying to take advantage of the extension to also ensure that they get their SIM cards registered. The numbers compared to 2-3 days ago hasn't been same, but I can say we have a lot of people here all telling me they don't want to take chances at all. They want to ensure that this time around they register on time to avoid what they went through in the past 2 days.
Right. Okay. So, Anas, we'll leave it here for now. But some of you have been engaging on some social media as well. And sorry, we are not able to take any more calls. We've also been trying to reach the NIA to get a sense of what's happening and what's being done to resolve the many issues that you have and some other people have with their Ghana card. I'm seeing a message on our live stream right now from Asonaba Nana Ofori Atta, who says, my problem is that she needs to find out what's making some people not able to register their SIM. And has she also found out what the solution to that? For instance, I was told my Ghana card has been rejected and I have walked about it, no feedback from them. And I'm asking her, is it my fault? I'm sure that's a question a lot of you are asking.
Genuine
is it
concern.
My fault? I took part in the registration. I've been given a card. Well, I'm told there are activation issues. I've been trying to work on it, but I still don't have a solution. Madam Esla, this gentleman and many other people are asking, is it my fault? And I think this is the reason why the NIA should have been at that presser yesterday, to answer questions for people like this. What do they do?
There are genuine problems, and I feel part of it stems from the lack of working hand in glove between the NIA on one end and the Communications Ministry on the other. I think they need to get that synergy going, else many people will keep suffering like this. And the walk around, I watched this little bit about someone who had gone to LWAC and kept complaining that, look, I'm losing a whole day of work. I'm spending money feeding myself. Yes. I am transporting myself here. I go, they tell me, come tomorrow, come tomorrow, come tomorrow. An entire week is lost. And that can be replicated for Hundreds and thousands of people.
These are working adults who are supposed to be productive, spending their time registering their SIM cards. Well, hopefully the self-service app will help for people who don't have issues with their Ghana card. But we still
hopefully
have
the biometrics will work.
Yes.
Have you noticed the problems even when you go there when it comes to the biometrics? Hopefully, even with the app, the biometrics wouldn't impede further.
Well,
people
Benjamin, I just hope that we are able to reach the PRO of the NIA to get some responses. We've been trying, but we've not received any response yet. We'll keep trying, and hopefully we'll be able to get some of your questions answered. But now we have to move on to our next conversation. Benjamin?
Well, it's one with an academic, if you like, a Pan-Africanist, and a woman who has been Deputy Minister of Higher Education in this country before. And it's an interaction on education, on the state of the Afua Sutherland Park, among other matters germane to our national life. We had a conversation with Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy, and we're glad to give it to you now. We're somewhere in a beautiful environment nestled in Jowulu, and it's a conversation with someone who is a stalwart when it comes to African culture. She's an activist. She also happens to be an academic. She currently is a professor at the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana. She has served as Deputy Minister for Education and Culture in charge of higher education in Ghana between the years 1986 and 1993. It's a conversation we're having on education, on parks, and there's a park that we'll be talking about shortly. We're also talking about our national life, the economy, corruption, now that we have that latest report from the Afro Barometer, among other matters of national scope. I'm having an interaction with none other than Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy. Prof, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you. It's been a while, but even as we find ourselves here, even within this premises, you have a beautiful park. I don't know how that reflects your growing up and all of that, but how long has this park been in existence?
Well, the park has been in existence since 2012, around 2012. But that piece of land is part of the land that was acquired by my mother, Afua Sutherland, in the late 1950s. And so we had the run of the place when we were small. We used to make our own, play things like go and set up a high jump, go and cut some tree branches and put it there and have races up and down because there was a lot of space. And
it's obvious you have swathes of land here. It's such a big space.
Yes, and so we had a wonderful childhood. My brother Ralph Sutherland and my sister Moe Sutherland Phillips and I, and our cousins and so on. So this was sort of the fulcrum, of our generation, and and our grandaunt would come and outdoors and she would make tatale and aboboy, and then we'll all sit down on the ground and eat it and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, let's talk about the making of A.C. Sutherland. What was it like growing up?
Well, I grew up, in with an understanding that you had to be modest. So we had a modest but very happy upbringing.
Right.
And we also learned how to share. There were always people here from villages. My mother used to she believed in learning from the people in the rural areas, so she might have her research, somebody coming here to tell stories or to do some drumming. She had people doing rehearsals here and so on. So we also had exposure to the arts very early in life, and so throughout my schooling, I was always in a drama or dance group or something like that. All the way to when I went to university in the United States for my master's. I joined a group led by some Ghanaian maestros, the Lajipo brothers,
right,
who were there. So I had, and also, had quite a strict upbringing, kindly strict. I mean, so if our mom was somebody that insisted that you do your work. If you have to sweep, you must sweep before you go. And if you don't do your work well, you might find her coming to tell the teacher. It happened to me once. Tell the teacher that I had to come back home because I didn't wipe the bathroom properly, and I had to come and do it and go back. But she taught us a great deal about being cosmopolitan and aware, African people. So we also had the pleasure of having many different people coming through who are, who eventually ended up being luminaries. So quite a few writers, politicians from all over the world. And our father was a Pan-Africanist activist. So
I was about to ask where the Pan-Africanism came in. So you took part of it from your father?
Part of it from our father, yes.
And the people you met?
And the people we met. So, there were, Maya Angelou, somebody called Julian Mayfield, we had Julius Nyerere, we had various people coming through the house all the time. And so, that certainly, being flies on the wall, we were able to pick up on some of the conversations and then develop them later when we grew up, yes. Yeah.
So quite the influence in there, and obviously it has shaped whom you have become.
Yes.
Well, let's move from there and talk about maybe the legacy of your mom.
Okay.
Ifwa Sutherland.
Yes.
And one of the things that stand out, the Accra Children's Park,
yes,
which was started somewhat 44 years ago, eventually renamed the Ifwa Sutherland Park.
Yes.
In recent times, we got to hear of the state of it. It's basically in a decrepit situation.
Yes.
Very sad. And for someone like me, I have looked at the park and felt if I had the wherewithal, I would, looking at the environment in which it is located, you have major hotels, Kempinski, Movenpick, the Accra City Hotel. This is something we can transform into a very lucrative touristic, scene, give fun to the children, but also make some very good earnings out of it. As a child, I went there, and now you look at it, and it's a far cry from what it used to be.
Yeah.
It was also splashed onto the front page of the Daily Graphic recently.
Yes, yes.
What do you think about the Ifwa Sutherland Park now, named after your mother, and how it's been left to just, so to speak, rot away?
This is an important question. I think I would like to say that for many years, when the park was named after her, our family did a concept note and sent it to the authorities to try and show what her vision was. Knowing that, while she was in charge of the National Commission on Children, which is now the Children's Department of the Ministry of Gender, it was a vibrant place programmatically. It had drama programs there, it had a mobile library, a mobile science lab. It had on the opposite side of the road was a Ghana Drama Studio where,
right,
where the National Theatre is today. So there was a certain synergy, and many people, of course, had programs there all the time. And it was supposed to be the national anchor, but then also emanating from there, she actually established parks, different types of parks, one in Teshinungwa Estate, which is also in Palace State, Chichire, Gomoasin, and even in Kumasi, Amakum. There's a huge park there that has now become a den of thieves and drug users. And
it appears we don't really see the use for these parks.
This is it.
I mean, you go to other jurisdictions, and these are places where people sometimes even just go to find peace, while away time. Others go to, and especially for young people, you would see that people go to sometimes skate and do all of these things. Keeps them away from maybe dealing drugs and all kinds of things, engaging in other activities that you wouldn't. But here, we use them for other things if they are not even sold out.
Well, you see, that the thing is that we have engaged with various the ministries and the various regimes to try and get them to see the park from a different point of view. It's not a cheap thing to look after, and therefore I think that governments over time have been searching for a way, to make sure that there's a consistent sustainability, kind of plan. So we have, there have been many instances in which, people have offered to do a number of things that are not suitable. It's not a place for you to bring in Ferris wheels and so on and to turn it into a kind
of circus.
Yes, but when you do that, a theme park, bring in your Donald Ducks and so on and so forth, it just goes against the spirit of the place. That sort of thing needs to be out of town, maybe at the say in La, and so on. So it is.
So the thinking has been different about what to do with places like the Afua Sutherland Park.
Right. So so in the meantime, there hasn't been enough effort to put the right people in charge. And to conceptualize the park differently. So when you get there, the gates, you enter it and you don't even know where to go. Right. The people who work there are not oriented towards welcoming people to come and use the park as a park. They're usually busy trying to run people off the place. So you have that management issue. And then you have the issue of, perhaps not thinking about a completely sort of innovative way of bringing other people on board. You mentioned the various hotels. We've had projects in which we've tried to put together, some suggestions about how to create a board for the park that does not have to, the ministry can have people on the board.
Under which, so maybe parks and gardens, does it fall under the tourism ministry? I mean, I guess that is part of the problem. Sometimes you don't even know what falls under, and so do you have any idea?
Right. So what has happened is that because the Children's Commission became the Children's Department of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, that ministry has the primary role of taking care of the park. However, it doesn't have the resources. So the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture has been invited, from my understanding, to support the park by, raising, some kind of partnerships and resources to get the park going. And the parks and gardens sometimes lays claim to it and so on. So there's a jurisdictional, sort of clash also, I think. That has to be taken care of.
Do you, Prof, have a say in any of this? After all, it bears the name of your mother. Do you have a say in anything that is happening? When you speak, do they listen? And how does it make you feel that this is what your mom has been named after, and it's in shambles, basically?
Well, we don't feel good about it. Definitely not. And I have to say that we have been politely listened to a number of times, and I think that without, making it public, there have been some moments in which the park was almost going to be built on, by various entities. And we've been able to get in there and say, look, I mean, this is just not on, and I think that... And
what you say it was almost going to be built on, they were going to do what?
Offices. They
were going to raise it down and turn it into office blocks.
Yes, and leave, a couple of acres for small bit for children. And
how long ago was this?
Maybe 6 or so years, 6, 7 years ago.
6, 7 years ago.
About 6 years. So they were going to actually take the park and her name to the Achimota Forest, and we just said, we're not playing ball on this one. But interestingly, everybody who was supposed to have been involved in this, when questioned by the presidency, they all denied flatly that they were going to do it.
Wow.
So but it was just, we were like...
So the presidency then had to intervene.
Yeah.
And those who were going to do this claimed no knowledge of...
They backed off and said, oh, no, we weren't going to do it, but we had documentation, that had come to us. And this has happened, there have been other near misses. So it's very important for the park to be incorporated, to have legislation that sort of makes it a park in perpetuity in law. There has to be that, so that it's not just convention. It really has to happen. And then we have to have a board that that involves the public sector, the private sector, and the suitable NGOs and so on who know what to do with these things, and just form, oversee the development of the park. We've made suggestions about doing it in a step-by-step fashion, starting with just ensuring that we get the buy-in of these corporate bodies around the park, including EcoBank and CD House. There's like...
Right.
Yeah.
MTN, they're all in that space.
Get them on board to just do a minimal change. Just seats there, playthings, equipment there, programming. So that every time you go there, there might be an artist, doing some artwork. The National Theatre might be rehearsing in the park.
What has the response been like?
We're waiting. We've been assured that it's being. This particular iteration, it's about, let's see, so much. So it's about 3-4 months. So we're hoping that reason will be seen, and we can start small so that we don't have an overwhelming situation where, because we can't do everything, therefore we don't do anything. So that's the situation. But it is, we've got. There are lots of people who are incensed by the state of the park. So we formed, sort of a coalition of people who will stand up for the park, and we're hoping that will also put some, pressure, on the.
How many, just to end on that subject? How many are you in this coalition?
I would say that there are, if you take organizations, maybe 8 or 9, but we've got several individuals. So we went online and did a petition, and there were almost 5,000 people registering for the petition.
Right.
So so we're
that shows
the
groundswell of a movement, if you like, of people saying we can't keep doing this.
That's right.
And obviously we all know the usefulness of parks, but it appears in our part of the world not much attention is paid to them.
But I have to use this opportunity to thank Joy FM for in March advertising what we called a family day, where we brought people who were interested in the park, and we had thousands of people there, really. So I want to thank Joy FM for doing some of the publicity for us. Thank you.
Let's talk education. As we talk about children and everything, the next thing obviously is education. You've been Deputy Minister for Education for quite a number of years. When you look at our educational system now, from the basic level to the tertiary level, what do you see?
So let me just say that people will look at me and say, but you were part of the regime that changed the system, and some people
because you
feel
served under the 86, PNDC into the NDC era.
I wasn't a member. I mean, I left when the change was.
So in '93. So right at the changeover.
At the transition.
Right.
That's right. Exactly. I have to say that there have been great achievements, and then we've also had reversals. So some of the achievements have been just raising the level of participation of children, so that the gross enrollment ratios have been going up, and so we have to say that Ghana does have a high enrollment, and I'm particularly interested in girls that getting a balance or equity between girls and boys, and that has been working and going up the ladder through the system. There has been an attempt to make sure that all children have at least 9 years of education. That was the original idea, and now that all children have 12 years of education. 12, 13 years of education, and that idea that way you don't have people going into the workforce that are uneducated, and if you want to develop, you have to have people who are trainable, and so on and so forth. So those are the ideas that have been behind some of the changes that went into the system. However, the distortions have also been there. And
we've done 3-year system, 4-year system, back to 3-year system, and a whole lot of other changes.
And also we've had a situation where we've wanted to do more STEM, by giving even some technical exposure to technical education in at junior high school. Remember all of that? Okay, so the distortions have arisen because we have not synchronized between making sure we have the teachers, making sure that we have the infrastructure, making sure that we have the equipment, and doing it on a consistent basis. And I would say that part of the reason is this short-term 4-year, 3-year sort of fixation by people in the political class, so that, instead of having a long vision, and you can't do education unless you have a long vision, instead of having that and letting a system mature, you then come in and change it because a regime has changed. This has been one of the real problems that we've had, so that you can't say, okay, you know what, because we can't do everything right now, let's have one model, senior high school in each district, and then we'll move to the next districts. But because everybody wants to make an impact as far as elections are concerned, then they kind of start everything at once, and then
everything becomes haphazard.
And then they're condemning each other for having started this or done that. That is a real problem.
Right.
A very, very serious problem. Another problem, I think, is to do with confronting the issue of how you fund education.
Right.
I was privileged to be on a team of people who wrote a paper, and it was there were people from the National Development Planning Commission, from higher education, from all over. And a paper was developed around the question of financing education. It was very clear to this committee that by looking at how much it costs to train a primary school person, a junior high school person, a secondary school person, a tertiary person, a technical, and so on. There were, all of those things were costed. And it became clear that if we wanted to jump into making everything free at once, it would go beyond, to sort of eat up about 50% of our GDP.
Wow.
Even though, Ghana had a very good reputation, for spending about 5 or 6% of GDP on education. So how were we going to get, create a just and fair system, and at the same time make sure that it doesn't run us into the ground? I have to say that the minister who commissioned this document felt that we couldn't put it out in the public because it would be, it would spark a lot of controversy. But I think it should go out, actually. I think that we should...
So up till now,
not publicly.
This report has not been
published.
published.
But I can send you a copy if you want, but it's
How many years ago are we looking?
This is 2008, 2009.
2008, 2009.
Yeah. Right. So those are some of the things. So, education is a costly affair. And it is important to look at all the stakeholders and try and see how, there could be a... there could be a synergy between all the stakeholders. So I remember, for example, for higher education, we had suggested that even if government took 70%, there should be, students should contribute about 10%, and the corporate world should be encouraged to invest in education.
And then social responsibility.
Yes, and then the internally generated funds 10%, something like that, would begin to get us to understand that we must work together with respect to education.
Speaking of working together, there were instances under Nkrumah where, people benefited from, very good education. The state sponsored a lot of, parents, grandparents, and others to study in different places. Russia, Germany, the West. All those times are, people in school would tell you that back then in my own former hall of residence, Commonwealth Hall, they would get to eat so well and all of that. All of that.
Snacks a day.
Right. All of that has changed. But in terms of free education, which on which tangent you started, I might as well feed in free SHS.
Yes.
What do you make of it, especially in recent times, looking at our economic downturn?
Yes.
People have said, you know what? We may have our own problems, but we're not ready for something like this in terms of bearing the full brunt of all the costs. Feeding, tuition and all of that. Let's take it bit by bit. And let's be progressive with it. Let's let parents, for example, what we feel they can pay, let them pay for it. And over time, we can gradually ease into a wholesale thing. But we've done the wholesale. And now people have said, on the back of our economic woes, we should rethink free SHS. Academics have said it, economists have said it, educationists have said it. What do you say?
What I say, and I'm sorry to sort of go back a little bit, but what I would say is this. We had a system where you would be there as a student, and then you would get a letter that said that you had gained a bursary because you did well in Form 1 or whatever it is, or you did well in the common entrance and so on. And you wouldn't even know how it happened. And I long for those days where there would be, people would be honest brokers, identify people who are economically challenged and give them the support that they require, so that it works into our decentralized system, and you have a decentralized system where you can count on the districts and so on in regions to bring bring you a crop of students that, you know, that deserved, you know.
Everything has changed nowadays. It depends on whom you know and all of that. Right.
Does it have to be like that? I mean, can we not, are we going to, you know, sort of go into our graves saying that we are intrinsically dishonest? I mean, that for me is a problem, because I'm sure that we can do something about it along those lines. That's one. The second thing that I would say is that you'd see that in the Constitution, education is supposed to be progressively free. It's not an, you know, sometimes this thing is looked at, I want to say that I can't stand, you know, partisanship along, you know, with as important a thing as education. So I don't want to be read as being partisan, but as being a nationalist and looking at the situation, confronting it. And in that sense, I would say that, you know, there are a number of things that we need to think of. One of them is, do we really have to have boarding for every single child? Boarding institutions were set up because children had to come from far distances to schools and so on. That if you try and add boarding and lodging to the business of education, which is teaching and learning and providing students with the equipment and so on that they need to do well in school, the teachers being paid well and so on. If we could take care of that, is it really true that we students couldn't stay home and go to school? Bring school closer to them. You know, I remember that people used to say, you know, you know, that sort of thing. But I'm sure we would have gotten over it, you know, if we give the right incentives and so on. So it's a combination of things where you show, you know, maybe by providing day schools with everything that they need, that it's a good school. You go there, you pass well, and you go on, you know, into tertiary or into, you know, technical education, whatever. So I'm saying that I cannot see how we can afford this. People have said that perhaps...
You don't see how we can afford this. We've pumped quite a lot into free SHS, many billions over the last few years. But would you say it has reaped for us the results that we would have wanted to see?
We've got the numbers. We've got the numbers. So in terms of access, it's been tremendous. Now, but what the young people go through while they're in school, and there's been some, you know, people have tried to say that they did very well in the WACC, BEC, and the, you know,
so the placement
system and all that. I mean, there's been some anxiety to score points, you know, in terms of, oh, they do well and so on. But we know that is a problem. And you have a situation where people who are working in the system feel stifled about talking about what the problems really are. We've got to open it. It's like a festering sore. You've got to open it, right, and say, look, these are the difficulties. And so what can we do about it?
What are the difficulties that you see in this respect, that you've been told of, that you've seen yourself? I mean, in recent times, we've had to grapple with children in school not having, you know, food to eat.
Right.
We've had some of them talk about the fact that they don't have the necessary bursaries available so they can engage in certain competitions and all of that. So,
right,
so many, it's a pot of issues that we've had to deal with. The buffer stock, you know, not having the funding needed to also give the schools the food, then suppliers under-supplying because they are owed so much. It's quite a raft of issues.
Yes, and also the idea was that in a region or a district, certain food items would come from there. I'm not sure that centralizing things in such a way that we're depending, say, on, a mass importation of mackerel or sardines, or, turning the buffer stock into a narrow, an institution with a narrow set of suppliers who are also sort of, outsourcing the thing, to abroad and so on. I think that is. I think that's really problematic, because we can't make it if that goes on. The second thing that worries me is that classrooms are crammed, hostels and or halls of residence are crammed, and for me, girls again, or you have girls staying in hostels, and it's that business of what about the other side of the life of the children, their social life, toilets, etc. Those are problematic, and I think that has to be looked at. But I'm not one to say that it's bad. That's not what it's about. It's about how can we make it work.
Exactly.
Yes, how can we make it work? So it has to be opened up for discussion. It really does.
So a review is needed?
I think so. I think a review is needed, even if you were to even want to continue. How would you do it? And I think that serious-minded, well-trained, experienced people should sit around the table and say, look, this is it. It's not about, putting it, sort of out there and people, shouting about it. You have to get into a room, put your heads together and see, and from all, people not do it on the basis of any partisanship, but just,
right.
And just see what can be done,
I want us to stay briefly, maybe for the next minute and a half on education.
Okay.
You teach at the tertiary level.
Yes, I do.
Basically. It's also been said that a lot of what we produce from even the finest universities in this country don't make the cut when it comes to the real community of work.
Right.
When it comes to, it's almost as though we learned by rote. It's chew, pour, pass, forget.
Yes.
Not practical teaching that builds a person for life, basically, but just academic. And so sometimes we go out there and we do not thrive, or we do not even fit into the spaces that are available. Very quickly on that, before we get into governance and corruption. What is your take?
I'll be quick about it. I don't think that you can make a blanket statement like that. I first of all, I'm not a person who believes that a university is a technical training ground, for you. You are supposed to learn how to learn. You are supposed to learn to be teachable when you go out. And and the countries we compare ourselves to, they give people a grounding when they go into their institutions. So I have a worry about making a blanket statement, although I do accept that because of the numbers, sometimes it's difficult for you to reach a student. I'm lucky because I deal a lot with graduate students, so that interaction is there and you can impact them. But at the undergraduate level, sometimes it's overwhelming for lecturers, and the other thing is trying to get the students not to just go to classes, but also all the myriad of lecture series and various activities that are going on. We have to get them to get themselves involved in those things, even in student politics or whatever, although it now has a different color. But all of those activities is what really builds you up. So I'm if I have a worry, it's a worry about also the narrowness of student interests. You can't get Ghanaian students to go on a demonstration, because of the Sahrawi Arab Republic, or because of, you know what I mean. So we have those difficulties, and if there were time, we could talk about them. But I would accept that we have a much greater potential to impact on our students than we are doing at the moment. Yeah.
Since you brought that up, another minute, if we can, on industrial actions. By recently we saw the senior groups of the universities embarking on a strike. Before that, UTAG generally had embarked on a strike. How do you feel about that? I was listening to an engagement on the BBC concerning Nigeria. It is rampant there.
At the moment.
And that started the movement for a lot of people to come to Ghana. In a minute, what is your reflection on that? What more can be done to forestall such actions?
So I have a feeling that our politicians should not run away from dialoguing with the constituencies that are under them. They have to keep a dialogue up. This is a constituency that it has some of your best brains. So you also need to make sure that you behave in a way that makes them feel that they can also sacrifice. And there's that is one of the things that is underlying some of the unrest that you are seeing, that people feel that they are being sacrificed. And they're being asked to sacrifice when the people who are asking them to do so are not willing to sacrifice. That is one of the underlying thoughts processes that leads to this unrest. But it's also a question of how can you set up the system so that it works? So if you're supposed to give, a certain percentage of taxation to certain, like to higher education, and you do it in such a way that it's equitable, and you make that money go to them, then they know that, look, we're supposed to get 2%. We've got our 2%. Maybe now, so then it removes that business of it looking as if, they're just being, tossed pennies and so on. So there's got to be we have to be systematic about how we distribute the funds. Make sure that people are aware this is the cake. This is how we're going to distribute it, and stick by it. Yeah.
Let's talk governance. And corruption. They seem to, unfortunately, in our country, go hand in hand or hand in glove. How would you rate the governance of this current administration over the last, it's almost 6 years out of the 8-year tenure, because they won elections again in 2020. There have been a number of reports in recent times that paint a very gloomy picture. There's the recent Shraj report, commissioned by Shraj, worked on by the Ghana Statistical Service and the UNODC with funding. It paints a very gloomy picture when it comes to governance structures, when it comes to institutions, public institutions, and corruption. Then, very recently, we have another report, the Afrobarometer CDD report. In fact, it puts the presidency as the second most corrupt public institution, only beneath the Ghana Police Service. Interesting, because the three arms of government are in second, third, and fourth position. Presidency in second slot, most corrupt. Police first. Third is the MPs, the legislature. Fourth is the judiciary. There's also the angle of that report saying that this tenure under Akufo-Addo has been the worst in 20 years. What is your reflection on that?
We're talking about perceptions. I would be loath to look at things from that angle. It's as if you are a little corrupt, you are better than somebody who is more corrupt. And if there's corruption, there's corruption, and I think that we would find it in every regime to a greater or a lesser extent. So I don't because I don't have the proof and so on, it would be very difficult for me to make that kind of categorical statement. What I would want
but the issue here is, I get your point.
Right.
The Shroud report was not perception. It was reality.
It was reality.
It's the first we've had that moves away from perception and goes into the fray of reality. So we can take that aside.
Yes.
This latest one, of course, we know about, this is the 9th round of Afrobarometer surveys, not just in Ghana, across the continent.
Right.
But when the perception from different surveys, time and again, point in a certain direction,
yes.
They say there's no smoke without fire.
Right.
So maybe we can look at it from that angle.
Right. Okay. So what I would say is that my worry is that people who are in this current government, especially, one can point out to many erudite, well-trained, exposed people who have been exposed to the rest of the world, and who should be able to see, when the hammer is falling, that certain things have got to be curtailed, certain institutions have got to be strengthened. And my feeling or my instinct is that not enough work has been done to hold institutions to the work that they are supposed to do, to get them to act in a disciplined manner.
Have we done enough to fight corruption?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not, you see, I feel that you're sort of singling out the president and saying that, okay, he has to go and stop corruption in all these places.
Because there are institutions.
No, there are institutions. People are in charge of those institutions. People are working under them, and so we have a hierarchy and all that. So you can pinpoint.
But sometimes people will also go to him because they would say, okay, so we have an office of the special prosecutor, but you don't set up the board after 10 months.
Right.
You do this. You don't give them logistics. They don't have the proper funding and all of that.
Right.
You can put pen to paper and get some of these things done. When they are not done, then there are questions to be asked.
So what I would answer to that is this. We've got a system, right? And we've got to make sure that we try to work across the system. Having some spectacular person being caught and so on. One of the things that worries me, for example, is that when the Auditor General goes, to make a presentation to Parliament, and people are seen to have, embezzled or allowed certain, what do you call it, mismanagement of funds and so on. Why is it that whether they are retired or not, why don't we, get them and get them to go through what they need to go through, both pay back the money and take the punishment, so that people will understand that you cannot get away with this.
I guess we've not made it a high-risk business enough.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be a high-risk business. And I really feel very strongly that those of us who have been working in the public service for our whole lives, it's painful to have a perception that all of us are corruptible, and that we cannot, do our work without being corrupt and so on and so forth. We need to do something to make people realize that if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get it. Okay, so I think that, fine, let's deal with the politicians, but let's now look at making systems work.
Systems should work. My very final bit to you as we wrap this conversation, and maybe you can add your final reflections. Recently, we've had cause, especially as we're going to the IMF, to look at our number of ministers. We have over 100 of them. Some people have said, in my recent interaction with, was it Professor Bokpin of the Economics Department at Legon? He made mention of the fact that if we cut them to under 60, we could save about 3 billion Ghana cedis. Now, if you look at what we're hoping to get from the e-levy, that is substantial. Are you of the school of thought that we can reduce or should reduce the number of ministers, the drain on the public coffers, and that we can bring it down to maybe as low as 19 as some of profit? Even the majority leader made mention of that recently. What do you think about that?
So what I think about it is this. Having been in a government at a time when it wanted to do so much. You know, you find that you can be short of hands if you're not careful, right? But it's not necessarily at the level of the ministers. It's at the level of the support systems that you have. The senior technical people need to be trained to make sure that they can get things done, and you do the supervision and so on. So we certainly don't need the numbers that there are. And it creeps up because people have aides and they have special assistants, and they have it's in there, you know, that you begin to get the problem, because you have to pay all of them, you know. So that's an issue. Second thing is some of the habits that they have developed. You know, you go to a function, you are there for 2 hours, and the driver of the person, some of the people, is in the car with the engine running and the air conditioning on for the whole time. Yes. And I'm thinking it's a small thing, but can't we do something about that? Is that something? It doesn't. What does that cost? You know, what does that cost? 10 of them.
They'll tell you it's for security reasons, so that if there's anything, how many people have been attacked, so to speak, or whatever.
Yeah, so there's that sort of thing. There are entourages and you know, people who...
20 vehicles and all
exactly,
that.
Or people, you going abroad and you take, I don't know how many people, and so on and so forth. I mean, if we look into our practices, you know, as people who are in charge of, or are seen to be, you know, in charge of various, or have various responsibilities that are supposed to be at a higher level, and how we perceive what we are supposed to do, I mean, what we are entitled to. So there are these entitlement issues that have to be in.
Right.
But I think my real worry is that all of this corrupts all of us. So if I'm an ordinary person and you are my MP, you come, and I feel that the only thing I can get out of you is for you to come and spend money at my naming ceremony of my child, or you have to come to my funeral, or you have to, you know, and we start making those kinds of demands on people. And it's not from now. Let me tell you, when I was a minister, you know, there were people who used to tell me that why was I wearing batik? And that it was not, you know,
ministerial.
Yes, it didn't. Yeah, so I should, and you know, I should. You know what I mean? There's a certain perception that people have, but it translates into action. You must wear a certain type of material. You must do this. You must do that. And where society is slowly becoming. Corruption is becoming a norm in what we demand from our leaders and in how we think people should behave. And if we don't do something, I mean, I think that's the tragedy.
Right.
Yes, that's the tragedy, is to have a fabric of society that doesn't hold our leaders to account, but rather condones, you know, what they're doing. So that's my worry, you know.
I guess you nailed it finally on the head. It's a societal problem, and together we must address it, because they will always tell you leaders are a reflection of the rest of us in society.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Prof, for engaging us and for the refreshing thoughts that you've shared on these crucial matters of national life. And we wish you the very best.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm.
That has been our interaction with Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy, a former Deputy Minister of Education, Higher Education and Culture, and of course an academic, currently Professor at the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana. For those of you who took the time to watch, thank you.
EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats, Rent to Own, and is sponsored by Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value, Virtual Security Africa, Complete Security Solutions, Superlock Technologies Limited, you deserve the best. DBS Industries Limited, we truly are your roof experts. Duraplast Limited, where Duraplast goes, water flows. Gold Key Properties, building prestige since 1997. And you know this year's theme is on Where You Live Matters. And today, once again, I've been joined by Dorothy Ifua-Kwashi. She's Executive Director of Elegant Homes and Constructions Limited. It's good to have you here again, looking very radiant in your purple. Okay, so we had our first clinic 2 weekends ago at the Achimota Retail Center. How was it?
Well, it went well, except that it cannot be compared to last year. But I think it was good. People came around to make inquiries. Some have followed up to visit our sites. And so we look forward to the next mini clinic to see how it will go.
I'll come back for us to talk about the next mini clinic and what to expect. But you said some have visited your site. For those of us who are watching us for the first time, who don't know what Elegant Homes is all about, let us know what you do.
Well, Elegant Homes is a real estate and general construction company. We currently selling 3, 4, and 5 bedroom detached houses within our gated estate, Elegant Court, Katamanso. We also fabricate and sell high quality UPVC windows, doors, plasterboards, cornices, and anything that makes your home beautiful. That's what we do.
Okay, so how does it work? You've just spoken to us about your gated community, the fact that people have come to see some of your sites. When I come to Elegant Homes, do I expect completed homes? Do I expect to make a deposit for a home to be completed for me? Do I get to choose my own design? Just run us through what the process is like.
The process is simple. When you visit our site, we already have properties that are readily available for sale. So we take you on a tour for you to have a look at our show houses, and then you can decide which of them you want. If after going through all that we have, if you are not interested in any, then you can also opt for our tailor-made service, where we build to suit individual taste. For example, you can choose any of our existing designs and have it customized to suit you, or you can arrange and bring in your own design, or we can design something specifically for you. So basically, that is the start of the whole buying process.
Okay, so you know, we've been doing the Living Standard series now, and there are complaints that times are hard. People are talking about how some of them have had to put their dreams on hold. What do you offer in terms of payment? What's the plan like? Do you give your clients the opportunity to pay within a relaxed environment?
Yes, we do. The last time I enumerated our payment plans, we have the outright purchase. The outright purchase is what people will say cash. That's you pay 50% and you have within 6 months to pay the remaining 50% and then come for the house. The second option is where we liaise with other banks to give you mortgage. So you can visit, you can let us know if you want to access mortgage. Any of our financial partners will assist. You either pay 15% or 20% and have the remaining 75, 85 or 70% financed by the bank.
Okay.
And it's spread on monthly basis between 10 to 15 years. Some can even go as far as 20 years. And that is with the mortgages. And then the third option is what we have termed the personal self-financing. For those who do not want to go in for mortgage and can still pay, we give you the flexibility of paying either 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, or the maximum you can pay. And then you have within 12 to 18 months to pay the remaining and come for your home. And then the final terms of payments is what we call the alternative payment plan, and that is done on case-by-case basis. Any client can walk in, let us know how you want to pay. If it fits into what we want to do, then we can also rope you in. So these are the 4 basic steps that one can own a home. So times are hard though, but there's still that flexibility for one to own a property within our estate, Elegant Homes.
And this year's theme, Where You Live Matters, brings to play a lot of importance about the location of your home, the proximity to social amenities, security, safety. What can you tell prospective clients in that regard in relation to where your properties are located?
One thing that I can say is that location plays a role in the choice of a property. And if you look at the terrain now in Accra, you can see that the central business units or the close parts are all choked now. Therefore, developments are now going towards the east. And that is where we find ourselves. We find ourselves at Katamanso. Katamanso is off the Adenta Dodowa Road. However, we have provided the needed infrastructure, the environment, the ambience to make people feel very comfortable. All the pictures that are rolling on the screen are within the gated estate. And it's close to town. There are schools, there are hospitals within the catchment area, and we have 24-hour security. You can see the roads are tarred. We have solar street lights, underground sewer system, electricity and water is connected, high-speed fiber optic internet is there. You can see the environment, and I think that is a place anybody will want to live. Very, very serene. This is a place where if you decide to even sell your property later, it appreciates because location and then environment and all that plays a vital role. You talk about the neighborhood. You look at the neighborhood and you know that a neighborhood like this is kind of controlled. So you just don't have anybody coming in to do whatever you want. And as I said, neighbors are for better or for
worse.
For worse. And so you can't force your neighbor to leave. But if you find yourself in such an environment, you are assured of good neighbors who will not be nuisance to you because it's an estate, it's regulated, there are rules, and everything that you do there is kind of should fit within the rules of the estate.
This is a very lovely place, I must admit. It looks really, really good. And I've seen something I like there. I love what I'm seeing this morning.
I'm expecting
it. So let's now talk about what to look forward to. This weekend, we are going to the West Hills Mall. So those of you who live around that area, that side of town, come over all the way. You can even come from Tessan or even from Kokumlili to the West Hills Mall. It's not just about 30 minutes on a Saturday. Come around, speak to people like Dorothy. You know, they'll help you. They do consultation. They will speak to you. You can visit the site. And basically all you need will be given to you. So tell us more. What should patrons expect when they come to the West Hills Mall from Friday through to Sunday?
Patrons should expect great service from us. Come talk to us. Let us know what you want. Is it an already made house you want to buy? Is it a custom made that you want? Let us know. Aside that, we are also giving packages. Elegant Homes is offering 10% discount on our prices. Aside the discount, we are also giving you a video doorbell, a fitted kitchen with appliances. We are also giving you central ceiling speakers. We are giving you free remote control gates and a garage for your house, and then many more.
I always want to ask people, you know, if where we are going now, especially Accra getting choked and all that, you would expect that people will begin to move to the periphery, you know, to the outskirts of Accra, as we sometimes would say. But it's not just about moving to the outskirts of Accra, it's about finding a good, conducive environment, a place you would love to stay for long, a place that will be worth your money and your time. So Elegant Homes is something you should consider. So quickly wrapping up, I would like you to share enquiries. Maybe people may want to call ahead even of the mini clinic, or the clinic, I beg your pardon, to find out more from you. So kindly share your contact details.
All right. So before the fair, you can reach us on 0244 699 053 or 057 659 7419. Or 024-897-4428. You can send us an email at sales@eleganthomesgh.com or visit our website www.eleganthomesgh.com. You can also visit our IG page, Elegant Homes GH, Facebook, Elegant Homes GH, Twitter, and many more.
So lovely. Thank you so much, Dorothy Afakwashi. She's Executive Director of Elegant Homes and Constructions Limited. And I'm sure you started thinking about owning a property from her outfit. Really beautiful homes they have at their gated community. Well, right after her, I'll be having a conversation with Ebenezer Akakpo. He's Sales Manager of Superlock Technologies. Do stay for that. Good morning. You caught us there, but don't worry, it happens. I'm just having an interaction with Ebenezer Akakpo, Sales Manager of Superlock Technologies, and it's now time to let you in on that conversation. Good morning to you once again, Ebenezer. Right, so we were just talking about the first clinic that happened at the Achimota Retail Center. Tell us how it went.
Okay, so good morning once again to your viewers, I must say. It went well. I would say so far, so good. The first day was a little slow, but the second day and the third day was good. So far, that's what I can say.
So from your engagement with clients, what did you gather as the most prevailing situation when it comes to getting good looks for their homes and offices?
Okay, so for the first time in this fair, I found out that some of the clients never knew or heard of Superlock. So I was so much shocked. I thought we are doing well. I think there's more we need to do. But also, I found out that most clients, or I would say Ghanaians, are now getting into security. They are more concerned about their security, more concerned about their safety. And I mean, like the theme goes, where you live matters. So people are getting more concerned about those things. And yes, that's why Superlock is here. So we are here to meet them.
That's lovely. So we can see some of your products there. Just for those who may be watching us for the first time, and like you said, there are indeed people who haven't heard about Superlock Technologies. So just run us through what you have to offer and how they can acquire or purchase it.
Okay, so Superlock is the best company that deals in building product, I would say. If you put up your structure and you roofed the house and plaster it, the next step you need is Superlock. So you're talking about doors, security doors, we are talking about internal doors, we're talking about balustrades, we are talking about burglar proofs, we are talking about main gates, we are talking about kitchens, we are talking about carports, we are talking about all the things you need to finish your house, or let's say to set up your house for the finishing, or let me say for the furnitures, exactly.
Interesting. That's a very nice. So are you telling me that this door is a security door as well? Because usually when you hear the word security, you're expecting to see something robust, something, you know, not too fancy. But this is a really cool door.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that it's got security features as well?
Of course. I mean, this door you see, we call it 7001 door. It's one of the best doors you will find. It's a security door in a way. Look, it's a double door you see here. Together, the weight of this door is over 160 kg, of course. One's about 80 kilos. So it's a strong door. First of all, the material being used to produce is a galvanized steel material. It comes with a frame, galvanized steel frame. The door comes with 7 to 8 locking bolts around. It comes with 5 sets of keys, interactive keys. You see, apart from the fact that it's a good security door, you see it as the aesthetics also looks very nice, very beautiful. And this is why I'm asking everybody, all the viewers, to come to Superlock. We have many of these designs.
So let's say I am, you know, there are some people who are very intentional about everything in their home.
Yeah.
Are you able to offer me customized doors?
Yes, I'll say yes. Even though we have some standards we have to keep.
Okay.
You understand? So, of course, if you have your customized design or something that you want us to do, yes, we can look at it. But we in Superlock, we are part of ISO, international standards of organization. So we have to make sure that whatever we are doing conforms to the standards. So of course, you can come with a design and we will see.
Let's say I want a different color instead of what I've seen here. This looks white.
Yes.
Say I want pink.
Yes.
Will I be able to get a pink security door?
Yes, yes, of course. I mean, if the pictures scroll, you will see that there are many
varieties
of, colors. So when it comes to colors, you don't even need to ask. You just have to choose the color you want, the raw color among the raw colors. Then we can produce for you. So for colors, it's not a problem at all. The design, so even if you can see from the picture, you see there are black doors, there are brown doors, there are gray doors, mocha color. So tell me what you want, the color, and I'll produce for you.
I like that. So, and I like to ask this question a lot because people have plans to build, but they don't have ready cash available.
Yes.
So they may want a certain payment plan or they may want a discount. What exactly do you have to offer us?
What we have to offer is mind-blowing, I'll say. Look, last time I think I mentioned, we have some of our products we are giving so good discounts like 15%, 20%, and 25%. All what I want is just the listeners or the viewers to come, or the potential buyers to come, and you will see all the offers I have. I mean, fantastic ones. So they should come. I mean,
when he says come, he means to the West Hills Mall.
Exactly.
From Friday to Sunday, that's where the clinic will be stationed. And you can come around, you can look out for Ebenezer.
Yes.
And he would help you out. You do consultations as well.
Of course.
If I need you to come and visit my site and maybe give me advice, does that come at a cost?
No. With Superlock, look, it's part of the package. We give before and after sales service. So before we even give you a quotation, a salesperson must come to your site and take measurements. And when it's coming, it's not only for measurements, but also giving you on-site consultation, advising you on what you need, not to waste money, like we said. I mean, things are a little tough. So we make sure that we give the consultation to the client to get what he or she actually needs, not what you want. So we do all that for free.
Thank you so much for coming through, Ebenezer. But before you leave, let us know any contacts, any way we can make enquiries.
Okay. So Superlock, we have currently have 6 branches across Ghana. We have a branch in Kumasi, a branch in Takoradi, a branch in Weija, Tema, Adenta, and Accra branch. So you can find us. I mean, we have a short code which is toll-free, *9999. You can find us there. When you call, somebody will attend to you, and we'll take it up from there.
I love that. Ebenezer Bediakukwabi, Sales Manager, Superlock Technologies, making it brief and easy for you to get your enquiries. *9999, and you get somebody to sort you out. And do make your way this weekend to the West Hills Mall in Weija, and you would meet Ebenezer and other providers of homes and quality accessories and all that. Now, don't forget also that we here at JoyNews are partnering this, so you know that these are legitimate companies, okay? Don't worry about scammers and fraudsters. There's not going to be anything like that when it comes to the JoyNews Habitat Fair. So you're most welcome. Come along with a friend, You don't have to build instantly. You can start gradually and find yourself a place to live in the near future. So, hello, how about treating your family to a summer holiday in shortened for South Africa? Now, come journey to South Africa for a good time in our beautiful country. Get to know the locals and our languages. If you're looking to let your hair down and relax, or you're just in the mood for some fun, family-friendly adventures, South Africa has got everything you need. This summer, come this side and experience a holiday worth talking about. Now, the attention of World Vision has been drawn to a live television broadcast by a group of people operating under the names World Vision Fan Club and World Vision Foundation on Energy TV and ABTV satellite television stations since June 28, 2022. A review of the video recordings of the programs indicates that these groups are using the logo and some images of World Vision with a view of getting interested people to register with various amounts of money in return for corresponding financial support. World Vision is concerned that its logo and images are being used by the so-called World Vision Fan Club and World Vision Foundation to collect money from the unsuspecting public. World Vision, therefore, disassociates itself from the so-called World Vision Fan Club and World Vision Foundation and their operations and wishes to caution the general public as such. It's calling on the members of the World Vision Fan Club and World Vision Foundation to desist from using the logo, images, and any other material for their activities forthwith. World Vision is a Christian relief development and advocacy organization dedicated to working with children, families, and communities to overcome poverty and injustice. World Vision Ghana has been working in all regions of Ghana for the past 42 years. So that's it, just by way of information. Benjamin joins me shortly. We'll be back. And see who I got here, Benjamin Akakpo.
Here I am.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
Good to have you
we've had
back.
some pretty interesting conversations
Yes,
today.
we have,
SIM card re-registration, and people had... Oh, there was a message we skipped at a point, very quickly, where the person was basically saying that, is it Denchem something?
Yeah, one of those communities in the Western
And
region.
the catchment area was termed, was it Takrady
Takrady.
or something of the sort. So now there was a confusion about where they were going to get their cards, and people would have to journey quite a distance. I feel, from on the back of what we've got, some people could be going through that.
Yeah, we've been actually been told. So that's the coding. And there are a lot of problems with that. So I know the registration was done on such a massive scale. You can now be going around saying, where is this from? Who is this for? It's difficult. So there was a problem. And like I'm saying, unfortunately, we couldn't reach their NIA. Hopefully, we'll be able to do so. Once we do, tomorrow, we will have that conversation so that everybody knows what to do, especially if you are one who is affected.
Yep. Well, tomorrow we'll bring you a lot more of that. But Hello Ghana, happy moment is here. Let's storm World Cup Qatar 2022 with Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water from Casapreco Company Limited. Simply buy your favorite Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water. Text the 4-digit unique number on the neck of the bottle to short code *780# option 2. Yes, *780# option 2, and follow the prompts on all networks for free. Be one of the lucky winners to this year's World Cup in the monthly draw. You can also win TVs, fridges, microwave ovens, mobile phones, home theaters, free drinks, and more instantly. Don't waste time. Grab a bottle of Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and let's storm Qatar this World Cup. This promotion is on the NLA Caritas platform, and of course, this advert is approved by the FDA. Terms and conditions do apply. I always love that part at the end. Terms and conditions.
T's and C's apply.
Yep.
And on that note, we end this edition of the AM show with Bernice and Benjamin. Thank you so much for staying through with us. God willing, tomorrow we'll be back at 6 a.m. serving you the most important news and what matters to you. So from Benjamin and myself, it's bye for now.
We wish you a lovely SIM card day.